Hello and welcome to episode 102 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey, and joined with me, as always, is the fine wine himself, Mr. Philip Hoy.
I think we should rename the show, boys. In PS Pro, we touch.
We touch.
We trust, or we touch.
I like both. I like In PS Pro, we touch.
We touch. Let's touch the Pro, because I have actually touched the Pro.
I can't afford to touch the Pro, mate.
At the moment, I'm not touching the Pro, but I'm sure we'll get into why that is down the road. And, of course, the boy wonder himself, Mr. Brokey over here, without his Pro. How's it going, Spence? You good?
You ain't got one either, lad. What is this?
I know, mate.
I'm good, but I've sat down and I've only just realised from us starting this, what is living on my face right now? Sorry, audio listeners. This is horrific. And I didn't realise until I've hit go live.
It's very
long.
dark, isn't it?
Yeah. It's...
You look like either your name should be Alejandro or you're Satan himself. It's very Satan-esque beard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it going underneath the chin as well? You got it like... Oh, mate, no.
Horrific, innit? Look at
That's
that.
bad. That's bad. Yeah, that's bad.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
You got to shave that bit. It's long, though. It is long.
I'm going to shave all of it gone after this.
What? Clean.
Yeah. Baby face.
Is
Don't do it for the weekend, because you won't get served. Because, of course, we're going out for my birthday.
I got ID, brother.
They still might not take it, mate. It's Bristol. Be careful.
Of course, it is, Phil, your 40th birthday tomorrow. So I want to just say on behalf of the show, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I thought I'd get it in early just to remind you guys. Oh, we got the applauses. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Before we give you a little one, mate, 40's a big old year, mate. It's a milestone birthday. I mean, I suppose before we kick into an actual question and we kick into the show, have your 30s been kind to you, my friend? And are you looking forward to the 40s, or is it looking bad?
Well, I'm still on the way up at the moment, Davey. I haven't peaked yet. Well, I don't believe I have, because each year I get better. I am, of course, the fine wine. But 40 or 39 to 40, it's been the best year of my life. I've done some amazing things. We've had some amazing fun on the show. I've got married. I've got a PS5 Pro. There's so many things good that have happened in this year. And I've recently got a promotion in work as well. So, yeah, it's been a pretty damn good year. And if it's going to continue like this, I'm all for it.
Oh, there you go. I like that positivity, my friend. I really, really do. And speaking of positivity, audience, you are going to be positively blown away with this episode, because we have got so much to go through today. Of course, we're going to run through, and if it's your first time checking us out, then we are going to run through the normal, typical run of the show, and it's actually going to feel like a full-blown episode today, because we have a hypothetical we're going to kick the show off with, then we're going to move it into what we've been playing, straddle over to quick news, then we got a rumor to unpack, and then we're going to end on our topic of the show, 2 listener questions. My God, that is some bang for your buck. So if you are enjoying the show as you go through, consider putting that rating on the show, because it really does help us find a larger audience. But enough of that. Let's get on to a hypothetical. And today, lads, I consulted my doc, because you know how it normally goes. Normally, me and my girlfriend, we're chatting in the car or wherever we're chatting, and one of us will come up with something just random to ask the other. And they generally then find their way into my doc of questions. That doc of questions is getting low. So I've had to consult the internet, right? And I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in disgusting hypothetical questions. And BuzzFeed did not disappoint. So, lads, would you rather, a classic would you rather question here. Would you rather wake up and find all your teeth have been replaced with pubic hairs, or have your pubic hairs replaced with millions of teeth?
What the hell is that? What sort of question? That is tapped. That is crazy, bro.
It's mank, mate.
It's mank. Yeah, it's mank. You're either coming out of it being like a baleen whale, so you're probably pretty good at, like, sifting krill or plankton from the water, or you've got some kind of abomination downstairs. And I suppose it's just pubic hair, right? So pubic hair could be all over. So you could technically be...
Christ.
You could technically... I've got a hairy chest, so do you, Spence.
Yeah.
We could technically be a fucking chest of teeth, bro. You know, unless we're leaving it down to the, you know,
genitals.
your
The nether
genital
region.
area. Yeah.
Yeah.
The shadow realm, if you like.
Yeah.
Dick.
So, as always, Spence, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Yeah, of course.
Where you going with this one, pal?
Of course, yeah. Why not start with me? I think this has an obvious answer, but it depends on how this works.
Okay.
Because there's a difference with hair and teeth.
Yep.
You lose your teeth, they don't grow back. You
Mhm.
lose the hair grows back. So what happens with my pubic region if like a tooth falls out? Because I'm not brushing my genital teeth. Do they come back?
I imagine it's the same rules as like teeth, like your normal teeth.
In your mouth.
In terms of, yeah. So, like, you know, you'd have to brush them every day. If you didn't, they'd decay, they'd wreck, like they'd hurt.
Ugh.
You know, like you think when you get like a hole in your tooth or whatever and you go to the dentist, like that sucks. And like, you know, if it gets infected or anything like that, it's a bad time. So I'm going to treat it just like as if it was growing out of your jaw, but obviously it's growing out of your flesh somehow. But yeah, they got roots and that. So it's bad times, mate. It's a bad time.
Okay. If they don't grow back, I think I'll go with the teeth for pubes. And I'd, you know, go to Turkey, get them done. You know, get all nice. Get some nice little pubic teeth.
Get them all polished up.
Or polished. It's either that or is it feasible to just get them removed? Because I think then you've just got like nasty gashes on like around your area.
I mean,
So-
you can. I mean, the thing that begs the question is with millions of teeth. So I imagine these are like tiny teeth that are like replacing your pubes. So I don't imagine they're like full-sized like canines or anything growing out of there.
Just
I imagine they're like-
really...
Yeah, they got to be tiny to fit millions of teeth. There's a fucking lot of teeth. So I imagine it would be like somebody puts their, you know, like you can't stroke a shark, right? And the reason why you can't stroke a shark is because on their back, whatever, they're like scales. They're not scales. They're like actually like sharp. So if you put your hand and you go like the other way, it's to help with streamlining. You can cut your hand on a shark because they're like all sharp on the back, and it's like a form of teeth almost. So you have to stroke them one way.
Have you been watching the Discovery Channel again, Davey?
I was obsessed with sharks as a
Bro
kid.
just likes sharks, man. He just
Dude,
loves sharks.
I was obsessed with them as a kid, like really badly, like way more than I am now, to the point where I had, like, for fun, I just had like proper science books on sharks that people would like study. I just had those and I would just read them. And I just knew everything, man. Like I could go to the zoo at the time when I was like, I know, 8, and just I could tell like the sex of the sharks. Because I just knew
That's
told
the
it was
thing
a
you could
male and
tell.
stuff. Though they don't have penises, right? They don't,
not the
they got
species.
slits and stuff. Oh, I can tell the species. That's fucking child's play.
You were just
species
like
telling.
man, woman,
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah, but it's hard to tell, man. It's like cats. People say they have dicks. I've never seen my cat's dick ever.
That's because
And
it's a
I've
girl.
got two. I got 2 boy cats. Never seen their dicks. Or like when puppies are born, and they're like, "Is it a boy or girl?" Well, puppies you can tell. Cats you
Yeah,
can't.
puppies you can tell, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cats are art. Cats are art.
I think
But
you've just been missold to female cats.
Maybe that'd be wild, wouldn't it?
The vet is just laughing to his mate. He thinks they're boys. Wait till he looks, because he will.
We do this all the time. We're always doing this just for a laugh, just for us. Eddie, girl cat, right? No, it's boy cat. oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's a boy. Yeah, I forgot about that. I laid that one down
So-
7 years ago.
So you've been misgendering your cat for how many years?
He's like
that's
8
cancelled.
now.
That's
Yeah.
criminal now. You know, you could be locked up.
I don't think he minds. I think he's
I
all right with it. He's quite open. Potentially she. But yeah,
Careful.
sorry to go off on it. But yeah, I imagine that's how the hair works in that the teeth work in that they're
teeth.
just very small, but there, like they are noticeable.
Oh, I don't know. Then I'd like to. If I think it's still the right choice because pubes for teeth is just you're not eating anything. You can't have any solids. You can't chew. So I think it's my choice anyway. But that's just mank. Could I take a chisel? If I could just take a chisel down there or freaking go dentist, I don't think dentist would happily work on my
Groin.
teeth-ridden penis.
And
yeah.
they're expensive, Spence.
Yeah.
I've just had a tooth replaced, and it was very, very expensive, and I had one replaced. So I can imagine if you're getting a lot of them dealt with at the dentist, you're going to run up a very large bill.
Yeah. Maybe if they're tiny, I'll have a skin graft over them.
That might work. Yeah,
It'd be bumpy though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
It would.
well, who's driving along the thing? I don't think that's going to matter too much, unless maybe during a thrust, it stabs a little bit. I don't know. I think it'd be okay. I think that's what I'd go for.
All right. Okay. I like the idea. I do like the idea. I think either one, like you said, fucking sucks. So I can't wait to see where Mr. Hoy goes with this one. So lay it on me, Phil. What are you thinking here?
Well, initially I would have sided with Spence, but as there's three of us and Spence has already taken that one, I think I should explore the pubes for teeth a little bit more because you brushed over that one quite quickly. Now, I know there's a lot of young males out there that try and grow a mustache, and it does look like they've got pubes all over their face because they're thin, curly, and dark. Now, Spencer, you've progressed past that. This is why I can start to point out that the younger male tends to have a pube mustache. And I've often remarked to myself, pube mustache, I'm 40. Look at this. Oh, at the moment, I've trimmed it, okay? So it's a little shorter. But I can grow a full beard now. I'm a proud man. Look how thick this possibly could be. And I've grown quite a long beard in certain parts of my life. You've seen it in the past, Davey. But having them growing out of your mouth, so you actually get rid of your teeth and you replace them with pubes.
Yeah. So
Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, I'm imagining it's, and I suppose the only thing we haven't really decided on is how thick these pubes are. Like if they're like a whale, like where it is like, like a fucking humpback whale opens his mouth, it's hairy, right? It's a very hairy mouth. I don't know if we're talking that level or we're talking like bum fluff pubes, like where they're thin and wiry coming out your mouth. I don't know where we're going with this yet, but either one has its own challenges. That's for damn sure. But yeah, no teeth.
It really does. And that was partly where I was going with this question. Is it a 1-for-1 swap? So one tooth for one pube? And are they the pubes that I may have down below? So they are the long and curly ones, or could they be shaped? Could they be the same size as a tooth, the same thickness as a tooth? So they're actually just a pube and a little bit mushy in your mouth. So you could possibly gum your food down a bit better than what you could with just normal gums. They'd be a little bit stronger, a little bit of protection for your mouth. Because I'm very conscious about my mouth, seeing as I've been to the dentist lately. And yeah, you've really got to watch it growing up. So there's a little bit of advice for anyone that is a little bit younger than me. Make sure you go to the dentist.
I mean, Spence, what are you thinking? Where are we going on the rules with this?
I think to make it fair, really, it should be whatever you have going on below is what happens up top.
Okay,
So
well, straight away, I will have pubes for teeth because I shave.
Oh, wow.
You have to
Here we
shave
go.
your,
Let it
Great.
go.
you'd have to
have to
shave
shave
your
your mouth.
gums.
So I don't have them. Well, I wouldn't have them, would I? You
Well,
said
you're-
what I have going on right now.
But
don't have any
yours,
pubes.
yours haven't been eradicated, have they? It's not like as if you've gone
No,
through
they grow
like
back.
laser
You still have your
treatment. Yeah.
follicles.
Oh, okay. I do shave them, so I don't laser them off. You are right, but
So
that
you'd
could
have-
be a possibility.
So you'd have to either laser or shave your gum.
Okay,
Oh,
where
man.
I'm going with this
Fuck
is
that.
the lasting effect. All right. So either way, you're going to have to go through some pain. Okay. So Spencer's down there with teeth covering his cock. Now he's got the option to either pull them out, which is hugely horrible and can cause a lot of pain, or he could cover them up with a skin graft. Again, probably I'm going to say that's quite painful. But pubes in your mouth, if it's a 1 for 1, how many teeth have I actually got? Probably not that many, right? 30 teeth as a guess? I don't know. What's the average amount of teeth someone's got in their mouth?
It's I believe it's 32, but I'll double check.
Well, that was a good guess at 30. So let's go with 30. Maybe I've lost the 2 at the back. So that's 30 pubes that I need to laser out. And then I've just got gums in my mouth and I'm a normal guy just with no teeth. Probably not that bad. Rather than having like a skin graft down below or holes near my cock because they used to have teeth in them, that's much worse.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Because you wouldn't want to live with any of this for a long period. You'd want to do your best to get out of the situation that you found yourself in.
I think the difference between it is that if you got the teeth down below, like one major, granted, is probably like a fucking insanely major operation to remove millions of teeth. But then you're done, right? Never again. You never have to worry about it. They're never growing back. Whereas with the pubes, you know, women get waxed every month or every couple of weeks for like ever since they're like, I don't know, 14. I mean, like my girlfriend's 37, still gets leg hairs, right? Like, granted, there's less of them compared to if she was just shaving all the time, but it's so hard to fully eradicate a hair follicle, like so hard. And I don't know. Your gum is pretty sensitive, right? Like,
it's pretty sensitive. Mine's extra sensitive, actually. Yeah.
What if you start getting ingrown hairs in your mouth?
Oh, dude.
Oh,
bruh.
Neither of these are nice.
No.
For me, the thing I was thinking of is eating, right? Like, you could put false teeth in even with puby, like, mouth, right? You could still put them in, and so you could still eat. But the problem would be, like, there's nothing worse than getting hair on your food. There's nothing worse than that. And it being like, and it's like on your tongue, you don't know where it is, but you know it's in your mouth. That would be like your daily life. That would suck, man.
But you do just get used to stuff. Like, you know, after a while, you'd probably just be okay. You'd probably like, well, the first time it happens, and gag a little bit. But the second time it happens, you'd probably be like expecting it. Third time, you'd be like, it's that feeling, it's that sensation again. And then maybe by the fourth, you might start enjoying it.
I don't know about enjoying it.
You're like, oh, God. Oh, the steak was lovely, darling, but I just didn't get the pube on it this time. And it just, it really adds something to your food, honestly.
And by the time you've had 32 pubes in your food, you'll start missing them. And then you'll need other people's pubes in your food to kind of keep up that addiction that you've caused yourself. I'm going pubes for teeth. Yeah, I'm going to go on that side. I'm addicted to pubes.
Jesus. Well, I've heard both your arguments, and you're both right. I think they're both horrifically bad. I think out of both options, I'd fuck. So grim.
It is horrible.
So grim. Each one's horrific. I think my pubes don't grow very fast, so I think it makes sense to go for the pubes for teeth. However, I do actually quite like the idea of if I had millions of teeth down below. I think I think there's just options, man. Like, you know, you see on movies where people get like tied up and they're like tied up to a chair. Like, say I had a home invasion and I was tied up and my arms were behind my back.
Oh, you'd start fucking the rope to get it. I start off of your teeth.
Rubbing it with my teeth, mate. Yeah. And you'd cut myself free and I'd be like, thank God for those teeth down there. Thank God I didn't take the pubes.
How often is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what you get up to with your missus and tying each other up, but how often do you really need to escape?
Not very often, but that one time it does. It's like a perk on Dead by Daylight. You don't need it for 99% of the games, but when it happens, you wish you had that perk. And I wouldn't want to be caught short in a situation where those teeth could have come in handy. Where there's not one example where the pubes could come in handy. And, you know, I could be like to the missus, well, take it or leave it. This is me, baby. I've got just millions of teeth down there. What are you going to do about it? Are you still with me for me? Well, the teeth are part of it, baby. And then sex would be horrific. It would be
mortifying.
Monstrous. Yeah, it'd be monstrous. Especially as, you know, I'm just an average penis size. If I was like massive, the teeth probably wouldn't get in the way. But I can go balls deep. And when you got teeth, you ain't allowed to go balls deep. You should be cutting her up. So you're kind of losing that in the fray. But you do always have just a weapon that you can constantly just pull your trousers down a little bit, expose those millions of teeth. No one's gonna fuck with that, are they? And a cock shot. Someone went for a cock shot. Oh, they'll be coming off way worse than I would from that.
Pulling your pants down in public to expose your weapon. I don't think that's ever a good choice, regardless if you've got teeth down there or not, Davey.
True.
That's true. That's true. Well, I mean, you just never know, do you? It depends on. They go quite far up pubes, don't they? Really, compared to like where your dick is. So you'd have teeth all across that entire area. So you don't have to expose yourself from like a sexual standpoint, but you could just make it known that you are a walking weapon. You are the tooth. That'd be my crime.
The tooth.
I'd start be a superhero, mate. The tooth. I'd try and make the best situation I can out of a horrific body curse. I think
your
that's where I'm gonna go with
superhero
this.
power. You show up anywhere and get your knob out and get your toothy knob out. That is your superpower.
That's it. Yeah. Get the tooth
Imagine
out
trying to explain that to the police when they arrest you. They're like, "Sir, come with me.
And
You're
they'd be like,
exposing yourself in public." You'd be like, "I've got teeth down there." You'd be like, "Yeah, we've heard that one before. Get in the van, rummy."
They'd be like, "Oh, Officer Jones, you don't realize this is the tooth. I thought he was just a myth. No, he's real. This is him." And I just have my full face covered, bro, like a kind of gimp mask. And then it's just everything's covered except for just like a circle just above my knob, so nothing's exposed. Where it's just teeth, the tooth, and my costume would be white and green, like a green cape, and it's just a circle in the middle with just a tooth on it, and just that's my costume, just the tooth, and that's how I try to do it.
Wasn't there a movie where a woman had some
Teeth,
sort of
yeah.
mouth between her legs?
It's called teeth.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
She had like teeth inside
In her
her
vagina.
Yeah, inside the vagina.
Oh.
So that's horrific. That is, like, that's bad.
I mean,
We're
it's
not
no
going
different,
that level.
really. It's not
Well,
much different.
You're
from
on the
ours.
outside, she's looking in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're not talking like they're not independent of my. It's not like as if they're like jaws down there. Like I can fucking like start jumping, bro.
Just around your cock like that. Your cock
Yeah,
is the...
it's not like that.
Your cock
Like
is the tongue.
Yeah, it's not like that.
Disgusting.
That would be even worse. But we haven't even gone to that point. I'll add that to the doctor the next time. But on that crazy note that we've gone through, I think it's time on that. We'll move it on to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
So guys, it's been 2 weeks since the last podcast episode, and I'm desperate to know what you've been up to in that time. Spence, we always kick off with yourself, so what have you been playing, my friend?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
Just fuck all. Other than games with you boys or games, with like Street Fighter, Dead by Daylight. Nothing. I've played nothing new. Nothing that I was playing before. Oh, I finished Silent Hill.
Oh,
What about
there you
that?
go.
There you go.
There we go. That's something to talk about. Congratulations.
Yeah, completely slipped my mind that. That's probably the only thing I've done in the last 2 weeks. So
Wow.
my friends finally came back round. We were at the start of the amusement park, so it was like we didn't have long left anyway. Took us maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. We got the worst ending in the game. Get in.
That exploration didn't happen then, is what I'm hearing.
It's not. I want to play it again myself. I'm not gonna lie, because I feel like I could have done a lot better. We missed the rifle. We missed probably meeting however many characters. We missed a lot of dialogue. We missed so many. We had no ammo at the end. No ammo. No
Wild.
heals. And it was just every time, because what I said I wanted to do was one of us plays and the rest just watch, and we all just enjoy the game together. They're like, no, we'll pass off between deaths. I'm like, "Oh, hate that. Because obviously, this is only a short game. If we're passing off every now and then, none of us are really comfortable with the movement of the game, especially not such an old game with tank controls. So I'm passing it off after getting us 3 med kits and 2 health bottles. Pass it over to my mate Dan, starts running. Oh, gets hit. Gets hit. There's a big bat coming towards him, and he's holding the fire axe like this, ready to swing at the bat. Miss. Med kit gone. Do it again. Med kit gone. It's like, oh,
And
why?
what's wild about it is that Silent Hill is rife with ammo. Like I got to the
Yeah.
end. I think I had like a couple. I think I had like 100 odd handgun rounds, loads of shotty, and enough rifle. And the final boss was where I finally used like the rifle and the shotgun or whatever it was for like the first time. So I was just meleeing for everything. So I was just melee fighting kind of everything I could until there was a flying enemy. And then, yeah, you pull out the big guns then at that point, because fuck them. But I'm glad that you enjoyed the game. I take it you did enjoy it, even with your bad ending. It didn't like spoil the experience for you, did it? That final part?
Not at all, mate. I adored it. I honestly really, really loved it. It made me upset that I never played it before because it's one of my favorite games, I think.
Wow. Well, I'm really glad to hear it, mate. Are you thinking of going back now and doing Resi? Because you were talking about going back and doing RE1. Have you considered actually just installing that and starting it?
I do really want to, but it's not even a case of I don't have time because I got so much time. But I don't know. There's just something stopping me. But I do really
I get
want
you.
to do it. I want to do all of them. I want to platinum every Resident Evil. But I'm just yet to start, I guess. I think once I start, I'll fly through them. It's just when that
Yeah.
happens.
Well, good luck on the RE5 platty when you get there, because that is a fucking slog. Me and Phil took us like a fucking summer. That did. Took us forever.
Took a very, very long time. And considering there's some online stuff involved there as well, which we tried to cheat a little bit by both going into a map and dying and doing certain things to try and achieve the trophy. I don't think either of us actually got the 100% there.
No, we got the platty, which was the main thing.
Yeah.
But we certainly didn't 100% the trophy list, because
No.
fuck that'd be
Yeah,
miserable.
why would you?
So, Spence, now you've finished the game. We can come to you for a rating. What did you feel? You've said it's one of your favorites, so I'm expecting it's going to be pretty high. But what's your overall rating for Silent Hill? Obviously, we can't discuss the endings, so we'll skip over that part of the conversation. I just want to know a rating.
Okay. I think now I would give it. Do I want to give it a 9 or an 8? I want to say 8.5, 9. I want to give it a 9. I do. But if I played it on the PS1 back then, I think I'd have thought this is a perfect game. I think I would have thought at the time. Now, obviously, so long later, there's better games just because technology's advanced. For a PS1 game, I think it's a damn near perfect game. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for a PS1 game.
Wow. That is very, very high praise. So that'd be very interesting when you revisit Resident Evil 1 and give us your updated views on that. We'll stay tuned.
And I suppose before we move on, even though you said you've hardly played anything, we have been playing quite a bit of Dead by Daylight lately. And normally there's not much to really talk about here, you know, new killers, new survivors, that kind of thing. But we did, after the lads all logged off yesterday, you and me tried the 2v8 mode.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to let the audience know kind of what's going on with that mode and your thoughts on it?
Sure. So they added, for Halloween, they usually do a new game mode. And this year it was 2v8, so 2 killers versus 8 survivors. That seems unfair to the killers. It kind of is. But there's balancing methods in there. So you can't just take whatever perks you want. The killers can't, neither can the survivors. There's classes. So you could be, it was like an enforcer, something else, an escapist. There's all these different builds. A medic. Yeah, there's all these different builds that revolve around either getting chased by the killer, getting Jenny's done, healing your teammates, or like providing information throughout the map. And then the killers have their own perks as well they can choose from, or their own classes they can go. And you can't change anything. You just pick that class. It's quite a cool system, but we played, I think, 3 games, Davey. And the first one, it's like a 4-minute game. Absolutely smoked the killers. And we thought, this can't be balanced. This is unfair. And then the second game, we got cooked. Second game, we had no chance. And then the third game, we had 2 lovely killers who just didn't do anything. They were fighting each other, which is just weird. But that was nice. But yeah, it seems like it's unbalanced for the killers unless the killers can really pull it out, I think. I don't know what you
Yeah.
thought about it, though.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. I think normally when you're talking about Dead by Daylight, if you got a decent killer, you need to have a good survivor team to be able to get out of that and win, right? And actually win. Not the way we can't win, which is one of us getting out. In terms of actually like 3 of you getting out of there, you need to have a really, really good team working together to be able to make sure that happens if you've got a competent killer against you. Whereas in this, it felt like it was a kind of role reversal, where the 2v8 was you've got to have 2 killers that are working really well together. Otherwise, those 8 survivors are just running amok. And that's how it just felt that first game, where it was like, we're not even getting chased. And there's 3 of you on each Jenny, and all you had was like, we were at literally got to be about 40 seconds into the match, and we had 3 Jennies done off the rip. It was like bang, bang, bang. And you got to do 8 of them, so there's more Jennies you've got to do compared to the normal game. But it felt like the killer was in a chase, and then mid-chase, somebody else is taking that chase from them and getting hit, and then somebody else would dive in, and the killer just didn't know what to do. Like, they were just fucked. And it really did feel unfair. But then that second game we got into, where the killers knew their shit, was hard, because they were just dispersing us and stopping us from healing and just really kind of boxing people in. And it was really fun to watch. When we got killed and we were out, and we were just watching somebody trying to run for the exit gate, and you could see the 2 killers just slowly bringing them in towards one point on the map where they had no chance. And we're like, don't go up there, don't run up there. And they run up to the one point where they had 2 exits from this zone, and the killer's standing on either side. So they're fucked no matter what, and you're just like, oh no. and that was really good, because it just showed us that there is skill here, but it's kind of like a roles reverse situation, which is quite nice for a limited time thing. Although personally, I think I prefer the classic game compared to this 2v8 mode. But I don't know if you agree with me on
100%.
that.
Mate, 100% agree. It's more balanced, it's more fair, the normal game. And sure, I think they knew that the 2v8 would be survivor-sided, and that's why there's 8 Jennies. They don't need to drag you the hooks anymore. When they pick you up, you just teleport to a hook, which kind of isn't in the killer's favor, because they actually don't know where you've been hooked. And chances are there's 8 survivors on the map. You're just gonna appear next to another survivor. So it still feels a bit unfair for the killers, even if they do play out their mind. The normal game mode is just really well balanced. They've really perfected it with the normal mode. So it's quite hard to improve on, to be fair.
Yeah, but certainly one to watch out for. And I think if somebody's out there and they never play killer, it's quite nice to be able to go in there with a mate and to be able to experience it. However, the wait times for killer are insane. Whereas survivors, there's obviously not enough survivors playing in that mode because people want to play together. So they're given 250% blood points. So if you do want to level up quickly, it's not a bad option to go into those games, especially as they're very fast. But we'll move on from yourself then, Spence. Over to yourself, Mr. Hoy. What have you been up to these last couple of weeks?
Well, Davey, I am glad you asked. And I've been playing some retro games. And I've been playing some retro games with you two. And when I say retro games, I mean PS3. And we've been playing online, haven't we, boys? Which is a turn up for the books. Davey, we jumped on for an evening on Killzone 2, a game that we talk about quite a lot on this podcast. And then, Spencer, you joined us for an evening of Resistance, which we talk about even more on this podcast. And we've got a hell of a lot to talk about in this area, but we're going to pick it up, I think, a little bit later in Quick News when we sort of cover the PS Rewired service, Davey. And I think you're going to be taking that section of Quick News. But I just wanted to put it here and just say that I had an absolute blast. It was great to revisit these games on original hardware. Well, outside the PS3 handset, because we all know that's gash. And it was gash at the time, and it's still gash, and it's even worse now because we have the new PS5 handset, which I think when we go back, we need to get that set up on the PS3 because I hear that's possible, boys. But I had a blast. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, for me, going back to titles like Killzone 2 and well, especially Killzone 2 for me is just so nostalgic, and I played the absolute shit out of that game. And it's surprising how quickly certain things come back when we were playing it. And it didn't take too long to be able to understand the kind of rules of that game in terms of playing slow, in terms of just covering each other, having to work together as a team in that game to be able to find success, and how that all works. And it's crazy how popular that is on the PS3 wide service. Like, we were getting to games like No One's Business. They were all full lobbies. It was crazy. And then Resistance was a totally different scenario because it was us three to start with. Before then, it started snowballing, and we met actually a group of players that are the best Resistance players of the world, right? Like, literally the best people in the world that play Resistance, that were the best back in the day, still playing it to this day. And that was a fucking eye-opening experience because we just got fucking wrecked. And they were so nice. They were absolutely lovely group of lads. And I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit later in the PS3 Wired service, but it's great to go back to older games and to have just that old school design of just a fun multiplayer experience that is just that. There's nothing else to it. There's no other like battle passes or bullshit. It's just a gameplay experience, and it was just really fucking fun to be able to do that. Now, Spence, I'm mostly coming at it from a nostalgia point of view, which is pretty much the same with Mr. Hoy, I'm sure.
Correct.
Coming in for yourself, Spence, you never really played Resistance before. You didn't join us for Killzone, unfortunately. How did you find the game? How did you think it fit? And this is, of course, Resistance 1, Fall of Man.
Yeah. So I'd never played any Resistance ever, not even for a second. So this was my first ever experience with Resistance. And obviously we all hopped online. We played a game, just us three. I think I won, or you won, Davey. But I was like, I'm quite good at this game. This feels nice. And then we had
Something
all
clicked pretty fast with you, didn't it?
Yeah, like immediately. That's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes. But then immediately, my ego just got annihilated down by those people joining us, and it was like, we're actually shit at this game. But even that being said, it's still fun. Some of the maps are insane. They're enormous, really well designed. Some of them a bit less well designed. And just all the little mechanics in the game with the sprint in makes you appear on the minimap. I hadn't even looked at the minimap until they told me that. The way all the guns work, the way you take double damage for headshots. It's nuts. And just the movement's crazy as well. I loved it. I had a fantastic time with it. It's not just nostalgia. I think it's just being able to play a game where nothing matters but the game and you're with your boys. It's a good time no matter what, and Resistance was just perfect for that. I loved it. Great time, and I'm looking forward to us going back to it.
No, I'm really glad you've enjoyed it, mate. And it is one of those things, isn't it, that knowledge is power at the end of the day. And playing with players that are so knowledgeable to the point where we looked at their stat sheets for that they'd saved from back in the day, from like 2006. And they're just nuts, man. Like, they're absolutely insane. And what I found was just lush about it. It's just such a welcoming community. You know, just a group of lads getting on from all over the world who are just really excited to see fresh blood in there. And all it did was it just made me think, I'm going to do this again. Like, I just had a really fun night and a really fun night with these group of lads. And when we cover it off later, we'll have an totally unleashed conversation on all this, I think. Whereas at the moment, we're all being a little bit coy with it because we know we're going to be mentioning it later. So let's move it on from that. And Phil, you mentioned a couple of times about the PlayStation 5 Pro. So do you want to lay out kind of what's happened here and your experience so far with the system, kind of everything, really?
Sure. Okay, well, I'm going to take you back a couple of weeks. And for the people that follow me on social, It's Philip Hoy on X. Links in the description of the show. On the 26th of September, I secured a PS5 Pro, and I've got one of the 30th anniversary DualSense Edge controllers coming as well, which I was very lucky to put my name on. I'm very, very happy about that one. Now, a number of people probably also remember from a previous podcast, we were sort of discussing about the possibilities of me using a voucher, which I got because my headset, my PlayStation headset, the Pulse Elite, came late. And it came a day late, okay? And then I got an email from PlayStation, said apologies because, you know, they are very good at delivering their hardware very, very quickly. And it didn't really bother me, actually, because I wasn't playing on that day. But they actually sent me a voucher through. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to keep this voucher and then possibly use it for the PS5 Pro. Okay? So when I did my pre-order, I put in the code. And unfortunately, it didn't let you use the voucher. So I just ordered the PS5 Pro and the DualSense Edge on the 26th of September, and I ordered them at full price. Okay? And I bit the bullet, and I thought, well, if I've got to pay for it because I really want the Pro, I'll just pay the price. But Davey, you were switched on, weren't you? And you said to me, why don't you roll the dice? Because we found out the PS5 Pro wasn't sold out, okay? So when it was released on the 7th of November, I could buy one anyway, and I could try my voucher. And if it didn't work, I wasn't going to lose anything, was I? Maybe I wouldn't get delivered on the day of release. I'd maybe get it a couple of days later. Well, I'm pleased to announce, boys, that the voucher worked. I was lost for words, as I am now about it. It was one of those moments where I thought, hot damn, thank you, Davey, because you have saved me £104.99 off my PS5 Pro, moving it from £699 to £595. Incredible.
What a bargain, mate. And, you know, we never did make a Someone Was Right jingle. And I'm kind of glad because it would be ringing right now. It would be ringing. All I'm going to say is that we're out on Saturday and pints are nowhere near £100. So you know, chuck a couple of them my way, my friend, and we'll call it quits. All right. My advice doesn't come cheap. So at least a couple of rounds.
I'm sure I'll be able to sort you out. Now, the Pro did arrive, and it arrived on the 8th of November. So I got it a day late, but I saved £100 or over £100. It's incredible. So I wanted to save it, and I haven't been tweeting a lot. And a couple of our very loyal listeners and viewers messaged me and asked me if I had the Pro. And I did a few sneaky tweets in their replies, but I haven't really announced that this happened. I wanted to save it for the show to put it out to the audience that, yeah, the voucher code worked. And I spoke to a couple of people afterwards and they were like, well, obviously it should work, right? It's a voucher code. But on the pre-order, it didn't work. But when it came available on the store, and it's just because the PS5 Pro didn't sell out immediately, I was able to use it. So very, very happy days. Now, I've got it, but I haven't got the disk drive. Okay, guys? Now, I'm somewhat limited in what I can play because that disk drive sold out even before the PS5 Pro hit the shelves. So if I want to buy one, I have to buy it on aftermarket, and it's a crazy price at the moment. So I'm just going to bide my time and try and play some more digitally focused games with you boys. I played a little bit of Dead by Daylight the other night with you boys. That was great, but didn't really see any advancements in the Pro. Now, I also played Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, turbocharged. Again, didn't see any advancements there. So I'm really just waiting now to be able to pop something like Stellar Blade in or potentially Alan Wake 2 in and really push it to the max and see what the Pro is all about. So as soon as that happens, I'll keep it for the show and update you guys accordingly.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear it, mate. And it is a shame. It is a shame that, you know, the disk drive situation. And that is exactly the reason why I do not have a Pro. I was sitting there. I remember this actually really, really well. And I messaged you all these things about my thoughts at like 2 a.m. because I was just there and I was catching up with my girlfriend and just woke up randomly.
PS5.
I just woke up randomly. And
Thinking
I was
about me.
I was like, I don't have the disk drive yet. I was like, and I went online then. And I was looking around and I was like, I can just get this from fucking anywhere. I was like, I can get this from Shop2. I can get this from, you know, anywhere I want to get this. I can just get it. And then I was like, I wonder what discounts I get through work. And lo and behold, managed to find that I get a pretty sizable discount at Curry's. And then on Curry's, I can then use Top Cashback to get even more discount. So I was like, well, I could just fucking hit the button on this whenever, right? And so I am just waiting because much like you, I'm a physical guy for the majority of my experiences. Sure, I do have quite a sizable digital catalog, and I could go into that to be able to have a look because me and Spence share games, so we could play, Space Marine or something like that. But I don't want to faff with having two systems on the go. I just don't. I can't be fucking arsed with it. So all I'm going to do is just wait until the disk drive comes into stock, get the disk drive, and then order the Pro. And that's I've got the money sitting there in my account ready to go for it, already put aside. It's just waiting for this fucking disk drive, which seems to be the hardest fucking thing to find in this entire generation. Like, way harder than anything else. At least I had a chance to get that 30th anniversary fucking console. I got in the queue at least, right? And they were sold out while I was in the queue. I didn't even get a fucking chance to get a disk drive, bro. They were just obliterated beyond all comprehension. Scalpers have had a fucking field day with this, and I don't even know if it's even scalpers. I think it's just a case that demand is so fucking high that PlayStation are like, huh, what? Everyone wants a disk drive? 70% of people buy digital. Why the fuck do we need so many disk drives? Turns out the fucking audience that would want a PlayStation 5 Pro buy mostly physical. Like, it's not fucking rocket science, man.
Wild.
But PlayStation just shit the bed with it. There's just not enough.
They just didn't expect it, did they? Because we saw the amount of people buying the disk drive early on Twitter and on socials. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's going to be available. Sony would be ready for this. They would release the amount of PS5 Pros to the amount of disk drives. But no, they've severely underestimated how popular this bit of hardware as an add-on feature, which is an additional £100 to the console. So if you want to buy it full price, that's $699 plus £100. So that's $799 for the full thing. Absolutely crazy. So it's terrible situation that I find myself in with a PS5 Pro not being able to play any of my games. But I am faffing with two consoles at the moment. So I have set up my original PS5 in the office. It's right next to me on top of my PC. It looks terrible. I tried putting it in multiple places around my office to try and disguise it a little bit. And it's not very nice when it's flat on top of my PC because it wobbles. It doesn't stand correctly, does it? So it's upright on top of my PC. I put it on one of the shelves. Turns out the gap between the shelf and the ceiling wasn't tall enough to put the PS5 Pro in. So it's had to come down. I tried to put it on another shelf, didn't have a long enough lead, so it sat there really ugly on top of my very sleek looking PC, because I'm not one of the PC guys that likes all the lights and all the water cooling or anything like that. I literally have a black box for my PC. That's what I have. It's a plain black box with one button on the top for the power. That's literally it. So now it has a PS5 stood on top of it and it looks terrible.
I gotta come see that when we come over this weekend. I need to see that. That sounds so
You're going to
funny.
laugh.
Oh, mate. Well, it's a tragedy. It is a tragedy, this whole situation. And all that's going on, the longer that's going on, the more I'm looking into the Pro, and the more kind of doubt that's coming into my mind at the moment, because I'm thinking, I don't have a TV that outputs. I've got my monitor in front of me, right? Audience is a Samsung Neo G7, right? So it's a 120 frame, 120 hertz, 144 hertz monitor, 4K, all that jazz. I could plug my PlayStation 5 Pro into this and be able to run games at 120, and it would be fantastic, right? It would look great on this TV, on this monitor. But I like to play on a TV, right? And my TVs are 60 hertz. So I can't get like the frame advantage to like play COD at 120 or anything like that. So it's making me now think, well, Black Friday's coming up soon. Maybe it's time I upgrade the TV in the house, and then maybe I'll get the Pro after that. So it's one of those things now where this cost, instead of just being, if the disc drive was in, I would have had the Pro, I would have just had it, and I'd be like, well, I play 60 hertz, but I just got it fucking looking super ultra pretty, right? And Bob's your uncle, and that's it. Whereas now, the more time is going on, the more expense is starting to rack up in my account, because now I'm thinking, and I'm getting adverts on Amazon every day now. Why don't you look at this $2,000 fucking TV and all this shit? And I'm like, fuck's sake, like maybe, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And so I don't know what's going to happen with the Pro, and I'm kind of dreading this long wait that we got before a disk drive comes in, because I'm probably going to break, bro. I'm probably going to break and put a fucking $2,000 fucking TV somewhere. So it's going to fucking happen.
You're going to break when you come around Saturday and you play Apex Legends on my very shiny TV and my new PlayStation 5 Pro.
You are.
Yep.
I think that's the point you'll break.
Yeah.
Because I was very lucky that I had the TV previously, so I didn't need to buy the TV for the Pro. I bought it earlier on this year, I believe, with the view to buy the Pro later on when it was released. So I did my homework and I've planned out my year. I haven't left it now to the end of the year when things start getting expensive. Obviously, a lot of things get released September through to December. So yeah, very expensive period for you, Davey. Christmas is going to be, pretty expensive, pretty penny, if you like.
It certainly will, mate. All I gotta hope is that there's a fucking killer deal that comes up on Black Friday sales. That's the only thing I'm praying for at this point.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, it all just comes together, right? We'll wait and see. Audience, I'll let you know when the eventual time comes that I've hit the bullet on the Pro, because it will happen. It's just a case of when rather than if, you know. But let's move aside from the Pro. And I got some updates for you boys. So I said to you last episode, I promised that I was going to be working through 2 games and 2 games exclusively. And those 2 games were Mr. Mosquito and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And I am glad to report, I'll start with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, that I have done it. I have earned the Platinum Trophy. Ooh, that's a Platinum. Thank you very much, lads. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero done. I had to play 100 online games to end my run, and I was having a great run, blasting everyone's ass. The worst thing about it is, I knew I was on 99, right? And so I knew my next game was 100. And I knew it would save the clip at the end for the platinum. I had to win, and I've never felt pressure like it, and I fucking lost. So I totally fucked it. I was winning as well, and I just thought I want to make this look cool for the win, for the fucking video, for the play, and just fucking absolutely just ate a Super Ghost Kamikaze attack and died. And I was like, well, fuck me. So my platinum picture on it is Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks with a big lose on it. So thanks for that.
Oh. Rough.
So that sucks. But, you know, I got the platy, though, so that's the main thing. And then Mr. Mosquito. Fuck me. This was a fucking... Right, this trophy's at 0.6% for this platinum, and I can see why, right? I had to follow... You have to do this collectible run. The last time I spoke about this was I had fucked it on the collectibles, and I had to do it on, like, a New Game Plus run, which I had to do anyway to be able to get the trophy for surviving another summer. Did that, and I had to follow a guide, and there's a couple of written guides from like 2001 or whatever, and they're all shit and they're all wrong. So I had to follow. There's one video on YouTube of a guy setting the world record speed time for Mr. Mosquito, which is in like fucking 480p on a GameCube, and so I had to watch that, and he did it in like an hour and a half, but pausing and then doing that bit yourself and trying to get those collectibles took hours. I mean, hours of my life, bro. I wasted on this. But I am glad to say I have now joined the 0.6% club. I have got the platinum in Mr. Mosquito. Ooh, that's a platinum.
Congratulations, mate.
Well done, mate.
Mr. Mosquito. What number's that?
That was platinum 130 for Mr. Mosquito.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Get a life.
Nerd.
Yeah. So it wasn't a crazy major, landmark thing or anything, but I was very proud of myself for getting those 2 done. And then, this is the game I actually do want to talk about. I started Life is Strange Double Exposure. So I'm a huge Life is Strange fan. I've played every single entry, and apart from the second one, I've really enjoyed this series. And this one came out, and I put this into my fantasy draft because I thought this is going to be fucking good, like going to be really good. And it came out with mixed. It came out with like a 72 or something, which was really surprising for me because this series does generally score quite high. And I couldn't quite understand why it was getting the responses it was, especially when I read a couple of reviews. And I thought, well, I've already pre-ordered it. I'm a big fan of this series. It's going to be a lot for me to not enjoy my time with it. Now, there's 5 chapters in this game. I'm on chapter 4, coming to the end of chapter 4. So I'm really starting to wrap up the game. I think I've got about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours left, because I do explore and look at every single thing in the environment. So I play it very slowly. Life is Strange. I can see why it's got the ratings it does, and I think it all comes down to how you ended Life is Strange 1. I think it all comes down to that. During the first episode of Life is Strange, every single Life is Strange, is when the kind of big driving force that drives the rest of that game forwards is going to be that death of somebody, be that whatever it is, right? Now, in this, you make a choice at the start of it, and I'm going to spoil it because it's not a major one. You decide in a conversation with somebody, they say, what happened in Arcadia Bay? And you have to then say one of the 2 options that you're presented with at the end of Life is Strange 1. I'm not going to say what they are for people that don't know, but you've got to then say which ending was yours, right? And then from there, it then kind of gives you a little bit more. So you can say that a character from this is really hard to do. A character from the first game, if they survived, what will happen is it would say that they've broken up and they're no longer a couple. Mine, that character died. So for me, my game has played out perfectly in terms of my game, because Max Caulfield is in the place where I left her, in that she's grieving for the relationship that she had, which was the choice that I made in the first game. And so for me, it's carrying on perfectly. And I feel this story is really adding more to Max's character, and I'm really vibing with it. And for me, a Life is Strange game is the music is the thing that really is so emotional about it. And having moments where you have like a reflect, where you go and sit down on like a sofa, or you sit on like a bench or something like that, and the camera will spin and the character will be talking to themselves, and music will play. And I've got 14 hours in-game time on this game, apparently. I don't believe that for a second. But what I do know is that I've spent multiple minutes just in these moments, just taking in the music and just taking in the vibe. And it's really getting me. And I'm really enjoying the cast of characters that go alongside it. I think for me, I really rate this. I don't think it's on the same level at the moment as Life is Strange 1 or 3, True Colors. I don't think it's up there with those. But I don't think it's too far behind either. I don't think it's too far behind. The big thing is going to be the ending. And I can't report on that yet. So if they nail the landing on that ending, because I don't really know where it's even going for this ending, if I'm honest with you. If they nail that, I think I could come out of this and be like, this is one of the best entries. At the moment, I've had a lot of technical glitches. I've had a lot of T-posing. I've had multiple crashes. I've had lots of that kind of stuff, which generally seems to happen with multi-choice games. I get it every time I fucking play a Supermassive games or any Life is Strange. I've always had similar issues. That's happening a lot. And I can see how it could be divisive if you kept the main character alive to then find out in the next game that they've broken up and that relationship's over. And I can see how that would piss people off. But for me, that's not been my experience because I had the other choice. So that's where I think the critics are so mixed on this, because it all depends on what you did in that first game and how much that relationship kind of meant to you. And if it was worth some other crazy stuff happening. God, I'm beating around the bush. But has anyone got any questions on this?
I don't really have questions because I just want you to get it done so I can play it, mate. But you said it's close to Life is Strange 1. Like, really? Just does it really? Because Life is Strange 1 so good.
It's in the same. How do I describe this? It's a worthy sequel. I don't think it's close to number 1.
Okay.
Like I think there's a big gap. It's not like, like Last of Us 1 and 2. There's an argument there to be made by which one's the best, and I think that no matter which way you argue that, that's fine. I can't see a reality where anyone could argue this is better than Life is Strange 1. I don't think that will ever happen, right? But it's not like the difference between Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange 2, where there's a fucking wealth. It kind of sits somewhere. It's like the difference between, if Life is Strange 1's a 10, this is maybe an 8.5, right? So it's still really, really good, but it's not up there with that.
And a question from me, Davey. As we know, you're an avid trophy hunter, having just got the platinums for Mr. Mosquito and Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. Now, when it comes to Life is Strange, you said you are very much exploring every avenue with this game. Is this something you are looking to get the platinum for? First question. And second question, have you come across anything which you think, ooh, that's going to be a little bit difficult in this game to achieve?
Yeah, I'm very much looking to go for the platinum on this. To do the platinum, it does require 2 full playthroughs, following the different choice that you make in Chapter 1. So you can see the outcomes for both kind of endings of Life is Strange 1. So I'm really interested to see what happens, and if a key character from that first game does appear in the other choice, because obviously she's dead in mine. So I want to know if that kind of happens, and that's going to spur me on for my second playthrough. I'm actually going to really look forward to that and take some of the different choices away from it. In terms of the Life is Strange series, it's got a really good way to balance its collectibles, in that you can skip scenes, you can just dive in and get that collectible and back out. And it's got, like, in the options menu, you've got an option to be able to help you find collectibles as well. So obviously I don't have any of that on while I'm playing it through for the first time, but when I complete it, and I can go into the chapter selection and I can see where I've missed my collectibles, because it all kind of tells you which chapters you're missing stuff, I can then just go into that, turn that accessibility feature on, and to make my life really easy for the platinum. So it shouldn't be too much of a struggle. I think the biggest thing would be if somebody didn't enjoy the game on their choice, to have to go back through a second time and you can't skip any of the dialogue would be a pain in the ass. But for me, who is really interested to see how it plays out on the other side, I'm really looking forward to it.
Sounds good to me. I've never played any of the Life is Strange games, and this might be a stupid question, but the way you're talking, does the first game and the choices you've made affect the second game? Is there some kind of continuity between all the games with the save file? Is that how it's working?
No, it's not like The Walking Dead was like that. So with the Walking Dead, it would carry forward. So your choices you made with Clementine, every single game would impact the subsequent, and because they were different console generations, instead of it being seamless, what would tend to happen is that, like, for The Walking Dead 2 or 3, say you started on PS4, right, and the first one you started on PS3, it wouldn't transfer the save properly. So with that, you had to start off and then make all those choices again to be able to get your Clementine the same. But the idea was, and I imagine on PC, that it would read what you've done before and make that your Clementine, right? This is very different in that Max Caulfield has only been in Life is Strange 1 and now here in this one. Mm-hmm. So 2 and 3 are different protagonists, different set of characters, completely different. So it doesn't really follow on. The only choice that carries forward is the choice that you make yourself in Chapter 1 in terms of which outcome you wanted to have, in terms of did somebody survive or not. And that's it. And that's where it kind of carries forward from there. So I think I think personally, if somebody has only played Life is Strange 1, they haven't gone through the rest of the series, you could jump into double exposure and you'd be absolutely fine. You wouldn't be missing anything out at all. For yourself, Phil, I really do feel that you should experience Life is Strange 1. Spence is right. I think it is one of those seminal experiences. And I really feel it's probably one of the best games from the last console generation in terms of its narrative. Is just fucking incredible. And I think it's one of those games that the more time that goes on, the more I look back on it fondly and how much impact it's had. And one of those games that, even only playing it through like once or twice, I remember so vividly all the parts that really fucking hit me. It's such a special game, number one. Really is.
Is this another one of those strays that you recommend and it sits on my shelf for a year and then I get round to playing it? Am I going to receive this for Christmas by any chance, on my birthday, which might be tomorrow?
No, you're definitely not getting it for your birthday, but it's not a bad option for somebody to be able to give it to you because they have remastered and totally redone Life is Strange 1 with better graphics and stuff. So it won't be so jarring. It'll actually be a lot better experience than it would be if you were just playing the game straight off the rip on PlayStation Extra or wherever it is. So I just really think it's one of those games that, I mean, how long would you say it is, Spence? About 8 hours, something like that? For Life is Strange 1?
Games, yeah, it's like 8 to 10 hours, and it's just brilliant, man. Really good.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that you'd play and then you'd be like, I'd be shocked if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think it'd be one of those ones that I don't think I've spoken to anybody who's played it and not enjoyed the game. You know, it's one of those things. I don't think I know anyone who hasn't liked it, who's played it actually.
Well, you're doing pretty well so far with the games that you have recommended to me over our relationship with PlayStation, you know, starting with games such as The Last of Us. When that first came out, you were like, Phil, you have to play this game. And I was completely wrong on that for whatever reason. I seem to miss that out and gravitate towards other games. But that was a brilliant experience. And the same with Stray. I'm really glad I went back and actually played that. It was an incredible experience. So potentially, let's see what appears under my tree at Christmas.
There you go. Well, on that note, we shall leave what we've been playing behind. And I'm sure, audience, that I'll be back to tell you if they managed to land the ending or if they managed to shit the bed on the next episode, I'm sure. But let's move it on to quick news. Quick news.
Quick news. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. You have made it through to quick news. And this is the part of the show where we pick the latest and greatest from the PlayStation Nation to present to yourselves. So we've picked out 6 news items which we'd like to take you through. But we don't want to do what every other podcast does and just read them verbatim in a monotone voice. We want to spice it up before we give you that news. And the way we do that is we play a little game called Categories, and we go round in the order from myself to Spencer to Davey, and one of us names a category, and then we've got to go through naming items from said category. If we stumble on our words, if we mention something that's already been said within a category, within a previous category, we get a mark against our name. And of course, whoever loses Quick News, because it's a competition, we like to face off against each other during this section of the show, and the loser gets put down with a shot in the dock for episode whatever when we do our blowout, because it's getting later and later and later, and that shot count is getting greater and greater and greater. Now, Davey, I'm not sure if you have the stats to hand, but maybe you could fill us in on where we are with the shots before we jump into the quick news round robin.
Of course, yeah, I certainly
We don't
can.
have to do that, do we?
Current standings. I am sitting on 6 shots.
Okay.
Spencer is also sitting on 6 shots. However,
yes. Oh.
however,
Don't jump in too early, mate.
no. You didn't drink yours from the last time. And so you have 5 extra. So you currently are on 11.
Oh.
Phil is on 2.
Wait. 2 is
2.
nuts.
2's
I'm getting
nuts.
wasted, lads. White boy wasted.
We gotta sort that today, Davey.
So this is what's happened, Spence, is that for episode 93, because of course we did the big quiz on episode 92, so or 93, whatever it was, we both had a shot on 93. You lost Quick News Spence on 94. I lost it on 95. I lost it on 96, and I lost a bet on 96. I lost it on 97. Lewis lost it on 98, which classed for you. You lost it on 99, Spence. Phil lost it on 100. We both lost it on the last episode. So all we're seeing here is that Phil, he may not always be winning, but he's definitely not losing. And that's it. So he's doing really well. Consistent.
It's the sweet spot that I like to achieve. Never the high heights of winning, never the low lows of losing, just somewhere in the middle. Stay average. That's all you got to do in life. I did it all through school. I was a straight C student. I had some ups. I had an A in mathematics. But generally, I was straight Cs. I just achieved a moderate degree of success. And I think that's all I've done throughout my whole life. And I'm pretty damn proud of it.
Well, you're doing well. And it's showing. The success is showing here because you're looking very, very pretty going into the big quiz. And of course, do you know what? I'll just let you know, audience, this is the plan. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be laying out what episode 103 as its own thing. Where we're going to be drinking throughout it, but we're not going to be getting fucking crazy on it. So it's just going to be a normal show that we all record together and we're drinking lagers and just having a good time. Then that's going to go up as its own thing. But straight after that, we are then recording the big quiz, which is going to go up as a separate upload. And that big quiz is a fucking big one because it's for episode 100. So it is, instead of the normal 5 questions, it's going to be 10 questions each. So there's potential there for 20 shots from that. So Spence, you got a potential chance of 31 fucking shots.
Fuck off.
He's not going to survive.
No.
I'm bringing the apple sours, bro.
Oh, mate, you're going to need
shot in water.
Bro.
Something.
Limoncello.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find whatever is just the least alcoholic and then dilute it without you boys knowing or something.
You have to do something, mate. Me and Phil had 10 shots on the last episode, and we did them all, the last quiz. And on top of that, our normal 5 shots that we had from quiz failures, and we were chucking our guts up that night. Like, me, Phil, and Karen, who was just drinking on the sidelines watching us, were fucking done. Like, we were obliterated. So, doubling that, dude, you might get your stomach pumped or something if you're not careful. So you might want to somehow game it, maybe, and do your shots early and then coast through until you get to, a few hours time later for it to kind of wear off before you start leveling it. You don't want to leave them late.
Mate, I had a whole plan to game it, which was all the leftover shots I was going to do on the lead up to Big Quiz. And it's come so soon. And when I went down the P then, before we started recording this, I had a look. I was like, have we got any alcohol? There's nothing in the house. I would have done like 4 shots now, but there's literally nothing. Fuck me.
You're going to be bad. Yeah, you're going to be bad.
Shirt's coming off, listeners.
I can imagine the thumbnail right now. It's just a picture of Spencer in his hospital bed, hooked up to a drip, and you see the beep, beep, beep in the thumbnail. I'm going to animate it for everybody that sees it on Twitter. It's going to be great.
It's just me crying.
With the crown, though. You somehow pulled it
of
off.
course.
Fucking wrecked. Yeah. Double winner in a row. Somehow done it. That'd be wild. You won it last time because me and Phil were fucking inebriated. We were fucked. And so we couldn't even barely speak towards the end of that. You're going to be out of control, bro. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. Well, we got a whole other 2 weeks to go until that, because we're recording that in 2 weeks' time around my house. So that would be fun for me to clean up all your fucking mess. But whose category's going first then, Phil? Lay it on us.
Okay, so I've picked out a category for tonight. And I know, Spencer, you weren't an expert when we did categories of fruit. So I've tried to think of things that you may know a little bit more about other than fruit. Now, we all like music, don't we, guys? So I'm going to go for types of musical instrument.
The drums.
Guitar.
Piano.
Electric guitar.
Bass.
Trumpet.
Acoustic guitar.
Cornet.
Cello.
A harmonica.
A violin.
Didgeridoo.
Fuck is that? A triangle.
A xylophone.
An organ.
what's he called? Oh, I don't know what it's called.
Oh,
Yeah, that's me. I don't know.
What
do you know
is
what
that?
it's called?
Is that bagpipe?
that looks like
Is that bagpipe?
that looks like you're squeezing the balls.
It
It
is.
does,
It
yeah.
is. It's like a little face
slower,
at the
Spence.
bottom. It's a little face at the bottom that you squeeze and it opens its mouth. But it's a real instrument.
Cassie's got one. Yeah. I can't remember I'll bring it. I'll I'll
Go
pull it
get
out.
it.
I'll pull it out later. I know exactly what
Yeah.
you mean. Cassie's got one. Yeah. I know exactly.
I don't know what the name is, but they have a name. It's a something phone.
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual name is. I did know it. Fuck.
Yeah. I know what you mean, mate. Unfortunately, that doesn't count for this.
That's the way it goes.
First black
Make
mark
it.
of the night across Spencer's name.
It's going to be 12 shots soon, boys. All right. Fucking quick news. So, listeners and lads, as always, except last time, actually, last time I didn't, we let Davey take the reins. Aside from that little bump, and sorry you had to get, that worse version of this news last
It was
time.
worse. Yeah.
I'm back where I belong. I'm giving you all the brand new monthly games for November and the new PS Extra and Premium games as well. But first, let's go with the PS Plus monthly essential games. So first up, we have Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, turbocharged PS4, PS5, one of Phil's favorite games, and apparently shines on the PS5 Pro, he told me. We
Really does.
also have Ghostwire Tokyo PS5, a game that Davey was adamant he would play and he would enjoy and then never did. Now he has the chance. And then the third and final game is Death Note Killer Within PS4, PS5, which as far as I've heard, it's Among Us, but Death Note. How strange. But those are the three games. Phil, I already know which one of these is your favorite, but I'm going to pass it over to you to tell us about it anyway. What do you think of this list, mate?
Did I give it away when we talked about what I played on my PS5 Pro?
Just a touch, mate.
Because I very much jumped into Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, 77 on Metacritic, because I quite like those kind of arcadey style racers. And I was expecting it to be a little bit more on the ground and kind of around the house, a bit more Micro Machines than Hot Wheels, I suppose, but it's all based around a track, which I was a little bit disappointed with. They got some awesome courses. Of course, it's again in really strange places, like such as a museum you race around in your monster truck, but it's all on a track, so there's not much diversion from the race as many of the other games where you race around, such as Micro Machines, do. And I was a little disappointed with that, but it's fun nonetheless. It seems to have quite a interesting story to it, but I haven't put a lot of time into it. It was just a game I played when I was waiting for you boys, and I thought, well, I need a digital game because I don't have the disc drive, so I'm somewhat limited. And that was the one that appealed to me the most out of this list. Outside that, of course, we've got Ghostwire Tokyo. So that is the 2022 action-adventure game developed by Tango Gameworks and actually published by Bethesda, I'm reading. So this is a story that's set in Tokyo, Japan, which is overrun by supernatural entities. The player character, a boy named, and I'm probably going to butcher his name, Akito, he's possessed by a spirit which imbues him with several abilities, allowing him to fight against specters and investigate the disappearance of the Tokyo's population and save his family. So it's got an interesting premise, and I know when this game came out, we were all talking about it and talking it quite far up. But I don't think any of us have actually touched that. But as you've alluded to, Spencer, now is the opportunity to dive in. And then, of course, we've got Death Note Killer Within. And from what I'm reading, this is a brand new game that have come to PlayStation, PS4 and PS5. And Spence, you are correct. I did watch a little video on it, and it does seem very reminiscent of Among Us, but it feels like a bit more Cluedo-esque. It's got a board game kind of vibe to it, where you move characters around and try and solve the puzzles that about the killer. I've never read Death Note, so I don't really know the premise. Spencer, I think you're more into this anime. Am I correct?
Yeah, it was probably maybe the first anime I ever watched. It was at least in my first three, I think. It was either that or it was Code Geass. I don't understand where this game's come from because Death Note hasn't really been a thing for the last 15 years. And all of a sudden they're like,
They had that dodgy Netflix movie, didn't they? That was bad.
yeah.
That was really bad.
It was terrible. And it had Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. He was good. He was the best thing about it, man.
He was the best thing about it, but yeah, it was terrible. I don't know where this has come from, but I think they're just trying to coin in on the success of Among Us with their own IP. And, we could try it. Will we? Who knows?
I mean, as I've said a couple of times on the show, I'm somewhat limited to what games I can play. So this one is free and available. So potentially we could jump in to play this. I wouldn't mind giving it a whiz, seeing as it is a brand new game that we have available on the service. And we don't get a lot of those. So why not jump in and, maybe we can spend an hour on a Thursday night and give it a blast and let people know how it goes and see if it does compare to Among Us.
We say we will. We can. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Let's not be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to play Death Note. Well, we might play it, listeners. Probably not. We'll see. If you write to us if it's good, let us know if it's good. If it's good, maybe we'll try it. But probably not, because let's be honest. No. Davey, mate, what about you? What on this list are you finally going to play Ghostwire Tokyo?
I will, yeah. I feel like we've had this in extra a couple of times as well, Ghostwire Tokyo. Yeah. I've had access to it, I just never have bothered. But the good thing is now I can redeem it and just have it all the time. I don't have to worry about it leaving the service. And that's a nice relief. I mean, I love Tango. I was chucking out the fucking rip sign when Phil was reading out about Tango. The thing I liked about this was that I was just taking the piss the entire time, saying about like different jutsus or whatever that I was going to throw out and different noises where I was going to make when I was playing it. And that was the only thing where I was like, oh, fireball, yeah, fireball fist, and all that shit. And that's, I do want to check it out, right? I do want to give it a go. I need to have a time where I want to play it. And at the moment, I just have no inclination. Like, I'm just not interested in playing it right now. And so I'm just not going to. Out of all these three, the one I would play, and not even taking the piss, would be Death Note. That would be the one I'd be most interested in. And it's because I like the idea that you're trying to figure out their name so you can write it in the Death Note. And I think that's just going to be I think it's a cool idea. I really do think that's a cool idea. And surely it's got to be a case that somebody's got a Death Note, you don't know who's got it. But then it's, why would you ever give your name when you know the Death Note exists? So I want to know kind of how they do that and how it all works. And I think that'd be quite interesting. So I'm up for giving it a go. I reckon, fuck it, we play Quidditch Champions for fuck's sake. And we played that for multiple hours. So why not give this a go? It's got to be better than that.
We turned pro on Quidditch Champions, didn't we? It was quite nice, that celebration that we had after we lifted the cup, because we just smoked everybody. We were so good on that game.
Yeah. You remember it very differently from me.
Yeah,
But, it's nice to live in a deluded world. I got a feeling that we could get into Death Note, us three, Lewis, whoever else wants to join us, and we could have a really fun time. Even if it's just a little shit, I think it would be at least fun. And for whatever reason, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, we played the first one for a little while, Spence, and it was okay. It was fine. I have no interest in going back, especially for a sequel. I don't really care. So I'm not going to check that out. For me, it's going to be Death Note.
You'd get smoked anyway on Hot Wheels too.
That sounds like you're trying to get me to
I've been putting in the time.
This is the lowest fruit to be able to get me in, and it's going to work.
Of course. Any competition, mate.
Yeah.
It could be a challenge for a shot. We need to get Phil's shot count up.
All right.
Spencer, I'm not shy. I'll drink with you anyway. And I think you won the last big quiz, correct?
He does.
So you may be the crown holder, and that crown has very much been heavy on your head, hasn't it? So potentially there is 5 shots for you to hand out. And seeing as I am very low, I'm probably going to be your biggest target. So expect me to be very nice to you on the run up to the quiz.
See, you'd expect to be my biggest target, but if I give them all to Davey, he's not in the quiz. He's not going to be answering nothing. And then me and you just have a fair game.
Very true.
But we'll who knows? Who knows? I think if we get a chance, maybe Sunday morning, we could just hop on Hot Wheels, have a race. And second place gets a shot, third place gets 2. What do we think of that?
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, no practice before then.
Yeah, well, Phil's got 100 hours.
Sure. yeah, true. Yeah, true.
Offline mode, he's just playing against the bots.
He's got the platty. Yeah, he's
up
fucking
here
beautiful.
offline. Yeah. all the trophies start popping. You're like, fuck, Phil's got a platinum. That's a big dick platinum.
I'll add that to the bets and shots doc after the show. But yeah, let's settle that. That'd be a good bit of fun.
Hell yeah. But anyways, for me, boys, these 3 games, Hot Wheels, like you said, Davey, not going to touch it except for this wager that we've now got. Maybe a bit of lab time beforehand if I can do it sneakily. Need to check the trophies and make sure none of them will pop. But other than that, Ghostwire Tokyo, I can't be fucked. Not a chance I'm going to play it. I've seen a platinum playthrough of it because I was watching this guy who just gets platinums and documents his experience. And it seems like quite a tedious one. There's a lot of collectibles, all that. And other than that, the game didn't seem amazing. It just seemed like a decent game. So I'll probably end up giving that a miss. But surprisingly, yeah, Death Note is probably the most fun option for us. So I think one Thursday night, eventually, once we're done with Space Marine, we're not into DBD or Apex or Street Fighter. Oh, we're never going to play it. One day we might play Death Note, and that would be lovely.
It's actually up to 10 players, so we could even have a community night if there's any listeners or viewers out there that wants to join us in said game. So tweet us, let us know, leave a comment in the section below, and we'll set something up. Or join the Discord, actually. That's probably the easiest way to spur on a Death Note killing within spree. So let's do it. Up to 10 players. Let's see if we can get a couple more of you listeners, viewers involved.
Other than that, though, lads, I'm going to ask you one last thing before we move on to the extra and premium games. What do you rate this PS Essential month? I'm going to come across to you first, Phil. What'd you give it out of 10?
I'd probably say it's pretty average. So I've picked out the Metascores, as I said, with Hot Wheels being 77, Ghostwire Tokyo being 75, and Death Note is actually new, so we didn't have a Metacritic, so that'll be up to us when we play it. But I'm probably going to stick with a 7 out of 10 because there are games there that are interesting for the majority of people. I'd imagine that we're going to spend some time with Death Note. As we said, I quite enjoyed the Hot Wheels game. Tokyo, Ghostwire, it's one of those games, again, I'm probably not going to get around to playing, but it did look interesting at the time. So I think it's a relatively okay offering. I wouldn't say it's great, but I wouldn't say it's absolutely trash. So somewhere in the middle, I'm going to go 7 out of 10.
Okay, and you, Davey?
My thoughts exactly. I'm going for a 7 out of 10 for pretty much exactly the same reasons. There's at least one game here that I'm interested in terms of Ghostwire, so that's something, right? And I'm glad to have that in my collection for the rest of time. When I'll play it, God knows, but at least I've always got it there to hand, right? In the unlikely event the games just stop being released, maybe then I might get around to it, and I'm quite happy for that. Whereas there's some months where I either own all the games that I'm interested in that are on there, or there's just nothing for me. So it's certainly better than that, but there's nothing here that I'm overly excited by.
That's fair enough. And I'll tell you what, boys, I echo your thoughts. A 7 out of 10. Couldn't agree more. I think it's a perfect split of genres. So you've got a single player game for people who like that. You've got a racing game and a fun online multiplayer game to play with your mates. It's like a perfect spread. It's just, there could be a better racing game. There could be a better single player game. And there could be a better party game. It's just, it's a perfect split of genres, but none of them are like upper echelon in their genre.
It's like having a Tesco own brand value spread as opposed to a lure pack in it. It's just not the right kind of spread.
Sure.
Using the spread analogy very literally.
That's going to confuse all our international listeners.
Yeah, they've all clicked off.
Although lure pack, is that French? Sounds French, doesn't it? Sounds French. Potentially. They might understand that one. Who knows?
Fuck knows.
Don't understand English, but they understand French butters. That's very specific, isn't it, for the American audience? The American audience. Oh, those French butters that we love so much. All the Americans. Always being in little mysteries, aren't they? What they understand and what they don't. Sausage roll. Totally out of their fucking mind. Blows their mind every time they hear about sausage roll. But they know about fucking IPAs.
Oh. Lure pack is a Danish brand of butter. And it's... Who knew it was Danish? That's changed my perspective on the world. I would have said that was French. Wouldn't you? Lure pack. Sounds French. Doesn't sound Danish. But apparently it is.
I would have thought it'd be like Haagen-Dazs, where you think it's European, but it's just British. And there's nothing special about it, you know? Like, where it's trying to be something it's not.
Well, the principal market is the UK, so those Danes don't even eat it themselves.
No. It's like Carlsberg, isn't it? No one drinks that on the continent, but apparently it's like fucking loved over there. It's like, no, fucking isn't sold anywhere over there. Literally never seen it on the continent in my life. But, you know, all right. Sure. I'm sure it's not just brewed in Mega.
We think about different things, lads. I've never once contemplated the origin of Lurpak. That's mental.
Well, we're meant to be a show where people can learn facts and figures, and we like to break down news items, and we've done that with the butter. It's what our viewers and listeners come to expect.
True. All right, very weird segue, but a segue nonetheless. Let's move on to the game catalogue for November. So there's a whole new list of games that I'm about to read out, and you boys just let me know what you think. So first up for PS Extra and Premium, we have Grand Theft Auto 5 for the PS4, PS5. Now, we did have the online before, but now it's the actual whole game. So we've got all that. We have Dying Light 2, Stay Human, PS4, PS5. We have Like a Dragon Ishin, PS4, PS5. MotoGP 24, PS4, PS5. The Sims 4 Island Living add-on only, PS4. So it doesn't seem like you get the actual game. You just get the Island Living add-on. Bizarre. Digimon Survive, PS4. Overcooked All You Can Eat, PS4, PS5. Stick Fight the Game, PS4. Clash Artifacts of Chaos, PS4, PS5. Killer Frequency, PS4, PS5. Hungry Shark World for the PS4. And Chivalry 2, PS4, PS5. That's just the extra games. Jesus Christ, what a list. To go carrying on with the premium games, bit of PSVR 2, we have Synapse, PSVR 2, which is a game I platinumed a few episodes back. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, PS4, PS5. Blood Omen 2, PS4, PS5. And now get ready for Davey to scream. Resistance Fall of Man and Resistance 2. Also coming for the classics. There it is. All right. Davey, over to you, mate.
I'm going to leave the premium for a moment. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna let that simmer. I'm gonna let that sink in for the audience because you fucking know what's gonna come. Can I say that for the normal runner games that you guys are gonna get, there's some good little juices here. There's some good little juices. We had a good time on Chivalry 1 when we played that. That was fucking quite fun. I'm looking forward to diving in and giving Chivalry 2 a go. I think that'd be a good little laugh. You know, running around with my Captain America build, just throwing a shield at people and getting fucked. We had a good little night on that. I wouldn't mind checking that back out. And for me, the one I'm actually really interested in here, and time is the big contender against us, Dying Light 2. We all dove into Dying Light 1, and I was really enjoying it. I'm surprised we didn't go back to it, actually, because I was really enjoying my time with it, going around drop-kicking zombies. And to be able to take that now into Dying Light 2 and to see the improvements that they've made in that, I am keen to check it out. Time is against me, and the games that are already out this year that I haven't even got to, like Stellar Blade, etc., are going to stop that being a reality anytime soon. But I'm just hoping it hangs around in the service because, fair play, this is a fantastic month for Extra. I really do feel like that.
That's it. You're not going to talk about Hungry Shark World, mate?
Well, Hungry Shark World, right? I've got a feeling this would take over my fucking life if I started playing this. And I haven't looked at what it is because I'm actually a little bit scared to look. Is it one of those games that the more stuff you eat, the bigger your shark gets? Like those old Flash games? Because I fucking love those. I played the fuck out of those back in my ute.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Become a shark, spread terror on the beach, fight man, machine, and beast as you explore tropical islands, sunken temples, vast cities, and frozen icebergs. Enjoy discovering expansive levels with their own distinctive enemies, hidden creatures, and unique monsters. Take on everything the sea throws at you, from goblin sharks to adorable something, prehistoric monsters and giant submarines. With rebalanced enemies and pacing, there's a challenge around every corner.
Do you know what? I'm gonna check it out.
I've told you.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna give it an hour. and see what happens with this. And I'll report back on the next show. Because, if I do love it, it's going to really get in the way of Silent Hill 2, innit? That's the problem. I've just ordered it. It's just coming through. And
hilarious.
what if I don't play it? I'm playing Hungry Shark World, bro. What if it's like a 200-hour platinum?
That's the problem. There's just too much choice. There's too many games. It's horrible at the moment. Damn you, PlayStation.
Yeah, why can't we be on Xbox, man? It'd just be so much easier, wouldn't it? Fuck all to do. So what about yourself, Mr. Hoy? What are you thinking, before we move on to the premium collection stuff, what are you thinking about these the normal stuff in extra?
I'm a little sad Spencer sniped my angle, because I was going to mention about Hungry Shark, and I had it all queued up, as you found out with my little intro there that I read out from the PlayStation blog website. But I've got to echo your thoughts. I think it's a fantastic offering. And Dying Light 2 would be the big ticket item there that would hold most interest for me, because I absolutely loved Dying Light 1 and the time we spent within playing that all together, lads. And I would suggest that potentially, rather than playing Death Note Killer Within, we can play some Dying Light 2 Stay Human together and rock those zombies. I think we should team up on a Thursday night and get around that city, see if we can survive. Work together, that's the key, I've heard.
Be well key, mate. I'll be well up for it. Anytime you want to do it, let me know. I'll drop whatever I'm doing. I think it's going to be fucking hell of a game to play through together.
Outside that, I've got a little bit of an admission.
Oh?
So I own a lot of video games, but I don't actually own Grand Theft Auto 5.
What? At all?
Never. No. I have this strange relationship with Grand Theft Auto. I used to love the originals that come out on the PlayStation 1. I loved them all the way up until they came 3D, and I kind of fell out of love with it. I love the top-down Grand Theft Autos, and I played those to death sort of growing up. But Grand Theft Auto 5, I have never played.
That's mad. Man. That's wild.
I know. And now I have the opportunity to do that. Yeah, within the service. It's an option.
You should, I think. It's brilliant.
You got nothing to do right now, like in terms of games. It's not a bad one, even if you just mainlined it. It's fucking good. It's really good.
Yeah, people are still playing it today. You know, it's really good.
It's in the chart every single fucking month. Like this, it even being in premium or in extra won't dent its fucking impact in the chart for whatever reason. For some reason, there's still somebody left out there, and you're now going to join that herd, mate. So you're one of these people that we're saying, who the fuck doesn't own 5 copies of this already? You're him.
All they needed to do is include Skyrim as well, because I get an admission. I've never really played Skyrim. I've played like the first hour of that game, and I quickly moved on. But these kind of very legendary games that, you know, everyone have played and they've re-released over multiple generations of consoles, I've kind of just missed every time it's been released. For whatever reason. But now might be my opportunity. Now that I've got a smaller opportunity of playing games that I own. Well, I've got no opportunities of playing the physical games I own. Maybe I can play Grand Theft Auto 5 on my PS5 Pro. Maybe.
You definitely should. I will say, you said earlier about how Davey recommends you games and they're always good. Mate, anyone could. You've not played any good games. You've missed out on all these masterpieces. Anyone could recommend you anything. That's crazy.
Yeah, I missed out on Last of Us, and I've missed out on Grand Theft Auto. I've missed out on Skyrim. So, pretty big games to miss.
Massive, mate. Massive. You definitely should play GTA 5. I will say, for me this month, Dying Light is obviously huge. We'll probably check it in Dying Light 2 because we love Dying Light 1. I'm going to play GTA 5 because I was partly playing it anyway. I think we had it for free a while ago because I've been playing the main game. So I don't know how I would have been doing that. So that's
it's definitely a re-release. So on the blog post, where it's got a little star next to it, there's a tiny little bit of text that says PlayStation Plus re-release.
Oh yeah, it does say re-release.
Yeah, so you must have had it before in extra, and now you can finish off your playthrough.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't really realize I missed it because I just stopped playing it, but that's decent. And then looking down the list, Overcooked is bloody brilliant. Me and Davey had a phenomenal time doing the Overcooked Platinum. It's class. Everyone should play Overcooked. A lot of people play it with their girlfriends. Don't do that. You'll just break up. Play it with your mate who's good at video games. do not play it with your partner. It's a horrific time, and you'll just go to bed laying away from each other thinking, fuck, I hate this person. That's what happens. You want to play it with your mate, but do play it. Stick Fight the game, I've put a few hours into as well. Stick Fight the game's actually really fun. You load in, and you just got to kill your mates. And then you immediately go to the next one. And you just keep playing. It's like a party game. Really, really fun. And then the rest of the list just looks great as well. I will say, Davey, I did look up Hungry Shark World, and it does not have a platinum.
At all?
At all. It's got trophies. It doesn't have a platinum. And even if it did have a platinum, it's minimum 50 hours.
Oh,
50 hours?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, definitely you should play that game, Davey. We'll never see you again. Jesus, 50 hours.
Fuck
50
me.
hours to not get a platinum. Is
How big is the
crazy.
sea?
No one knows, apparently, mate. Ridiculous. But if you should do it, though, mate. Silent Hill 2 can wait.
I'll give it a go, especially if there's no Platty on there. I mean, I'm not overly precious with my list. Like some people, like one of our friends listening to the show, Dayman, whenever you install a game on it, he has to platinum it. He likes having like 100% list, so it's nothing better than going over his house and just installing loads of games. Like I installed and started like like a load of games from the premium collection, so he's been playing like Cool Borders 1 through for the platinum.
Oh man,
It's class.
that's harsh.
I know I didn't mean it to. It's just that he's got this weird thing about it, and it's like, oh, let's have a quick race on Cool Borders, and then it boots. He's like, oh, because he knows that's like 60 hours of his life to fucking get the platinum. It's just wild, absolutely wild. But oh, well, there you go. But yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll check it out. Why not? Nothing to lose, other than
Hell
time.
yeah. But so far, then, I think that's a massive list for extra. That's enormous, and they're all quite good games and Hungry Shark World. So I think that's quite sick. Premiums, though, Davey, may I just pass to you?
It has begun. How many times have I said Resistance to return in any form? I've had this on my wish list since episode 1 of our podcast 4 years ago. 4 years! I've been waiting like a shark in the depths, looking up, waiting for that moment to strike, waiting for that moment of weakness. And finally, not just Resistance 1, but Resistance 2. The fucking GOAT is here. Every single Resistance game is on the service now. You want to play Resistance 3? It's already on there. You want to play Resistance 1? Go for it. You want to play the PSP game that I just platinumed not long ago? It's already fucking on there. You got options. Sort it out. Fucking do it. The only thing, right, about this is I was fucking over the moon. Phil shared this with me earlier today, and I couldn't believe it, right? I thought he was fucking lying to me. And I had to go on the blog myself and double check, because I thought there's no fucking way. Resistance 1 and 2? No fucking chance. And yeah, they're fucking there. The only thing is, and this is the fucking kicker, is that I believe they're just like all the rest of PS3 games in that they're streamed. Which means that I can't earn a platinum on it, because I've already earned the platinum on Resistance 2. I've already earned the platinum on Resistance 3. So I can't really gain anything from it other than just enjoying the story through with delay. So I'm not going to play them. I'm not going to play them. I know this is the grim thing. If they were native like they are for PS2 and PS1s, you bet your fucking ass I'd have this installed and they'd be on there. I'd be playing them through right now. But seeing as we've got our PS3s already set up, because we're playing them at the moment, and I already own Resistance 1 and 2, I've got a better experience, albeit with a worse controller. So I might as well just play them on the PS3. And that's the sour point from this. But all I will say is, for all you listeners, right, I know there's a few of you out there that either have no idea what Resistance is, hears me waxing lyrical about it, and doesn't check it out. Fucking put some time aside and dive in. You've been playing shit games all year. I saw, Maloon, I'm going to call you out on this. You put out a thing saying that you're looking forward to Lego Horizon Adventures, right? which is sitting at 70% on Metacritic at the minute, something like that. Do you want to spend your time in that? Or go and experience like one of the best shooter fucking trilogies, in my opinion, of all time. Like 1, 2, and 3 for Resistance kick fucking ass. And granted, playing it through this way, you will not have any of the online modes because they will not be enabled. But you can at least experience Nathan Hale's fucking story in Resistance 1 and 2. It is chef's fucking kiss. Go and do it, see him through, and thank me later. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter.
I wanted you to talk about Synapse, mate. You finally going to play it?
Well, I've had your version for since you bought it, right? That I could just redeem and play. Yeah. I've actually got it installed. I'm getting VR fever at the minute. There's been a couple of times where I've actually been really close to setting up the wheel and booting up Gran Turismo lately. It's now that time of year where it's cold. So VR season is in rage. So yeah, I actually am going to play it. I'm going to be playing it over the next couple of weeks for sure.
Good. It's a nice platinum as well. It's like 10 hours. It's really, really good. It's one of the best VR experiences I've played. You're not going to mention about Legacy of Kain as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is not Legacy. This is not Soul Reaver. Okay, so this is so Legacy of Kain, the first one, Blood Omen. I've never played. PS1 game, from what I know about it, because I've played number 2, which I'll talk about in a second, top down, and they're like kind of, you go around just fucking killing people, basically, just slashing with a sword. The second one I played, Blood Omen 2, and that's fun. It's fun, but it's a forgettable experience. It's not like Soul Reaver, right? Like, Soul Reaver's fucking goated. This ain't that. It's nowhere near that. It's just a fun experience. It was one of those ones you rent from Blockbuster for a weekend and you take back on the Sunday night and you've had a good time with it. But you've done, right? You see it through in a few hours, send it back. It was a rent, not a buy. And it doesn't get me excited seeing it here because it's a decent game. But it certainly ain't up there with his big brother in terms of Soul Reaver. Certainly not.
Okay. Phil, mate, how do you feel about this premium month? Do you share Davey's views with Resistance being God's gift of a game and Blood Omen being subpar to Soul Reaver?
Well, Spence, what can I say that hasn't been said before? I'm only going to be echoing every single one of Davey's thoughts here. You know, it's great to see that people have now the opportunity to play Resistance, who haven't played it previously, who subscribe to the more premium end of the service. That not being on a native experience, you know, a streamed version of Resistance. But Dave is exactly right. We have our PS3 set up at the moment. I own all 3 of these games and I very much love the Resistance trilogy, each one of them. If I had the time, I'm sure I'd be going back and playing them. And it's very tempted when I'm sit there in work because I have the PS3 right next to me and a TV above me while I'm answering my emails, not to just slip in the disc and play a little bit of Nathan Hale. But it's brilliant that, as I said, a lot of people now have much more opportunity to play Resistance, and that's what we want. We want to hear people playing about the game, talking about the game, and keep our fingers crossed because that might spur a developer to pick it up and see the future of Resistance. Maybe we'll see it coming back, or maybe we won't. But it's nice to hear about Resistance and see something about it.
Hell yeah, mate. What about Blood Omen? Did you ever play the Blood Omen games?
I can't say I did. I missed out on both those Legacy of Kain games, Blood Omen and Blood Omen 2. I jumped straight to Soul Reaver.
Fair enough. Well, unfortunately, I can't really comment on them either. Obviously, I'm the next gen of gamer, let's say. I've not played any of the Blood Omen games. I've not played any Legacy of Kain games. I mean to play Soul Reaver at some point. Obviously, that remake's coming out, and maybe I'll dip in then. But I've not played those. Resistance, I've not played through. Just had that short experience online with you lads and the Fall of Man community. But Synapse, I can speak on. I've spoke about it before on the show. Phenomenal, phenomenal game. Controls better than any game I think I've ever played in VR. You're Magneto. It's sick. You're Magneto. And at some point, you're just, once you upgrade enough, you're just lifting your enemies up and just tossing them away. Or you like drag them close to you so you can just shotgun them in the mouth. Oh, it's a really, really good game. So that's my recommendation from this. So we'll just go round again, lads. Phil, I started with you last time, so I'll start with you this time, Davey. what do you give as a rating for this month's extra and premium?
I'm not going to lie. I think that premium this year, I think every single month we talk about it, it's getting better. And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And they fucking nailed it this month. For somebody who doesn't have access to a PS3, this is fucking fantastic. Like, the Resistance 1 and 2, fuck. Like, that's worth premium for me if I didn't have a PlayStation 3, right? That would be enough to get me through the door. Let alone then you've got, like, some actual, like, Legacy of Kain games. They're not the one I really want, but there's an audience for them, right? And they're renowned. And then Synapse a fucking top tier VR experience. I think this is like everything you need premium to be. Whereas this point last year, we were having the conversation of I might not renew my premium because it was just shit. This year they've just proven me wrong. And they've just said, it's been like a thank you for subscribing to this service. And I've had so much value out of it this year with classic games. That I didn't have last year because they just weren't there. So they fucking nailed it. I reckon this is close to a 10 out of 10 as it could be. I think if they were proper ports of Resistance, I'd give it a 10. But because of not, and the fact that I can't, I'd prefer to play it on the native hardware on a PS3, I'm going to downgrade it slightly to a 9 out of 10 because of that.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense. Phil, mate, do you share Davey's thoughts?
Share them, but on a slightly lower level. I'm probably more around the 8s, sort of lower 8s, because for the premium offering as a game collector, I have all these games that I want to play already on the original hardware. So it's very rare that I would look at something within premium and go, oh my God, now I need to subscribe. I really need to play this on my PS5. But the extra games that are included this month are absolutely outstanding. And there's some huge hitters in there that I have bypassed, that I've missed out, such as your Grand Theft Auto, such as your Dying Light series. And these are the games that, we might be spending some time in the future. And it's great to have that option when I log on to my PS5 Pro and no disk drive, as I keep referring back to. It's going to give me options, and I think that's the beauty of subscribing to Extra. It just gives you a lot more options than what you have up on the shelf.
It's true. For me, I'd give it, I'll say an 8 as well, mate, because I think it's a phenomenal month, like really, really good, probably one of the best months we've had, but there's nothing there specifically for me. Like, the big hit there would be Synapse if I didn't have it, but I've already platinumed it. And there's a lot of great games, but GTA already played. Dying Light, I'm not that fussed on. It'd be fun with you boys. Overcooked, Platinum, Stick Fight's a little game. There's no like massive AAA game there that's not already been played to some extent, I suppose. But it's still strong month. This has been the longest we've ever gone on the monthly games, so we're going to move very swiftly on. Davey, round to yourself. My category for you: brands of crisps.
Walkers.
Monster Munch.
What's it?
Pringles.
McCoy's.
Doritos.
Quavers.
Lay's.
Max.
Cheetos.
Chipsticks.
Takis.
What's it?
I said what's it?
Did you?
Oh!
Fuck. You and me suck at this, dude.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, fuck me. Quick news. So, there is a really exciting thing that I want to talk to you guys about, and it's about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. There's a bit of good news and a bit of news which I don't think is very surprising with this. So it's a 2-for-1. First off, I'm going to start with the one that I don't feel is very surprising, and that is the fact that there's been a news article that's go out and this been shared around Twitter like as if it's some fucking breaking story. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero loses 90% of its players in less than a month. So before I give my thoughts on this and why I don't feel this very surprising, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this and if you feel this is a worrying thing. Phil, I'm going to come to you first on this one. What do you think?
Well, I've read this article in the doc. I read it earlier and I put some thought into it. And I thought back to our discussion previously when you were so excited about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and you referred to a point made, I think maybe in Quick News, where we talked about the request to see this at Evo, and we all laughed that off as if that was a silly suggestion, because Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, it's not your traditional fighting game. And I think this just shows it, that it doesn't have that longevity that a fighting game would have in the same way. This is a game that you probably play and you enjoy, but it's not going to be your main game. It's one of those games that you might pick off the shelf and go, fancy a beam battle, lads, now and again, right? It's not the game you're spending hours, night after night, grinding those rotations, picking up those combos, learning all the special moves for, so you can bottom out at your local tournament. It's not about that. It's just about a fun time, and unfortunately, it's quite a short time. Davey's platinumed it now. Davey, honestly, when are you next going to play it? Possibly when me and Spencer come round, but I can't imagine you're going to be playing it too much on your own, solo.
No, it's definitely for me, and this is why, not to give my thoughts, it's not that kind of game. Like, it's a game that, I think back to my PS2 games, my PS2 days when I was playing this series. I'd play all the single-player content through, be done with it, and then it would be whenever someone comes round, and it would just come out. It's like a Wii Sports or something then at that point, or like, just like fucking that Stickman game you were just talking about just then, Spence. It's like it's a party game. It's a game that you just pull out when people come round and you have fun with. And that is exactly what its purpose is. So I don't feel why this is surprising to anyone, because a month to play this game, 43 hours it took me for that platinum. And that was enough. I was done with the single player content then. I was like, you know, I'm kind of done. Like, I've seen everything. I've played it to death. But you bet your ass when you guys come around for the big quiz recording, it's going to come out. It's going to be fun as fuck. And that's exactly what it is. It's installed still. It's not deleted, because it needs to be that on-demand game for whenever the moment strikes, it just gets played. And that is what this game is. And I don't understand why people feel that abandoning a game like this after a month is a weird thing. It's not a Helldivers. It's not something like that that's constantly on play. It is very much that as and when game. And I just don't get how this is even remotely a surprise to anyone, to be honest with you.
I couldn't have said it better. It's literally, you're bang on, 100% right. All those 90% of players that have stopped playing, they're going to come back whenever the opportunity arises. It's not, you can't play it all day, every day. And it's not, once you beat the story, you're done. That is it. It's just fun to play with your mates every now and then. That is literally all the game is. I think it's surprising just because it's not, I don't think people are surprised by this news. It's just worth reporting because it had such a high player base on day one. So they know it'll gain traction.
It set the record for the most played fighting game of all time on Steam, didn't it, on its release? That kind of thing, right? I mean, for me, it just screams like a fucking clickbaity article, you know? Like something for someone to be like, oh my god, this is crazy news. But it's like, fuck do you expect, man?
We're dispelling all these myths today, aren't we? So we dispelled the origins of Lurepack, and now we've just dispelled this clickbait that has come out around Sparking Zero. Well done, lads. Good show today. Good hustle.
We're moving. Well, the next part of this, and I think this is really interesting, is that there's a tournament that's happening for this. A worldwide tournament, right? It came out on YouTube. I was like, what the fuck? They're doing a fucking tournament for this? And it's called Sparking Zero, the Dramatic Showdown Tournament. Now, normally, this wouldn't get in the show, this kind of thing. But the reason why I put it in is because this format is fucking awesome. And I really like this idea. So what they've done, and I'll read their thing verbatim here. Unlike traditional competitions, the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, the Dramatic Showdown Grand Finals focuses on the characters themselves. Each champion qualified for the Grand Finals will play with a preset character to create a unique show. Players from around the world will compete for a chance to qualify for the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero Dramatic Showdown Grand Finals event happening at the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2025 in Los Angeles, California on January 18th to 19th, 2025. So what's happening is there's a load of tournaments that are happening, a load of online qualifiers, and then there's a chance to qualify while you're actually at the event itself. So 9 different champions will arise from online tournaments. There's one that's happening in the UK, a couple from the US, Mexico, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, and Japan, if I'm reading those flags correctly. And that's going to be it. Now, I did enter myself into the tournament. I have entered. It's on the 23rd of November. I'm going to go in. I'm going to play with my bullshit characters, and I'm going to be self-destructing myself all over the place. Only downside is, the missus said to me on the same day, "Isn't that the day we were going to put up the Christmas decorations to go to Bath Market?" And I thought, oh, it is. It is. And she was like, and I was like, oh, it is. And she was like, do you care that much? I was like, not really, no. Like, people really take
Who
this
cares
super
about
serious.
Christmas?
Oh, no, not the Christmas, dude.
Yeah.
In it, yeah. Fuck the Bath markets.
I was like, oh.
Who really cares? Dragon Ball Z.
I'm gonna have I was like, I'm gonna have a great time at Bath Market. Like, I know what will happen. People take this game way too seriously, like, for what it is, and I will get bodied online. And I'm not playing it until the tournament. So, like, I'm not gonna win. Like, what's the
But
point?
you've got a double-edged sword, mate, because if you stay home and play Dragon Ball, you're just gonna lose and think, why did I waste my time doing this? But if you go to Bath, you're gonna be like, I could be playing Dragon Ball right now.
That's true. I mean, I could take the portal, couldn't I?
I was
Bath
going to say,
Market.
do both. Do both. Take the portal with you. You're going to be terrible anyway.
At least I got an excuse, don't I? It's valid, John. Well, someone messaged me. Oh, you were shit. Just all you did is self-destruct. Play it on the PlayStation Portal, bro. I'm in Bath.
I'm at the Christmas market, mate.
I'm at the market, you fucking loser. I'm outside.
With my girlfriend, loser.
Fucking weeb.
I'm also dressed as Goku, but yeah, regardless.
So, the way this works, right, the 9 champions, and this is what I like about it, the UK's already been decided. So, whoever wins the UK tournament is going to be playing as Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta from the Broly movie. So, we've already got a really strong chance that if the UK wins, whoever wins for the UK, they got a really good character. The other characters, France, have probably the best chance. They got Ultra Instinct Goku. Mexico, Golden Frieza. You got Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta for the US. Super Broly is being played by Italy. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is Japan. You got Baby, Vegeta Baby, from the Baby arc in GT. For Germany, that's a fucking hard one. I feel sorry for the Germans. The fucking Spanish have it worse. They're playing as fucking just Super Saiyan Trunks. It's gonna be hard. And then finally, the last one is just Gohan as an adult for the other person in Mexico. So the other person from the US. So it basically means that the winner is going to be France or UK. And what they said is the way they're going to balance this, to try and balance it, is that they're going to create items specifically for this tournament, or like loadouts, to try and balance it, so that the people have the same health bars and stuff. I think it's going to be a laugh tuning into this tournament, because I can guarantee you it won't be balanced. There's no fucking way. I think watching this tournament is going to be fucking jokes, because the commentator's going to have to sell it like it's a real esports event, and you know that all the Goku has to do is just have ki, and he can't be hurt. So that's going to be fucking fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they pull this off, but I think it's such a great little idea that I wanted to tell you guys about it. And what do you feel, Spence, somebody who's entered a lot of fighting game tournaments in the past, what do you feel about this being the format, and the fact that you can't even pick your own character for the grand finals? It is set for you.
I think it's the best they could do with the game that they created, or that they were given. I think, for one, I think it's hilarious. I think it's a funny concept. I think it's mental. Because imagine you win, right? You're from the UK, you win. You've never touched this character in your life. Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. And they're like, oh, no, you have to play him. What? No, yeah, you're locked in. Here's some items, though. Yeah, great. It's mental. It's an insane idea, but it's creative and it's new. And like you said, I think it's going to be an absolute blast to watch. And I'll place my bet right now. I think Mexico with Golden Frieza is going to win.
Really?
Yeah, Mexico, mate. The
They go
tournaments
hard.
that are going to happen in Mexico for this game are going to be enormous. Mexico love Dragon Ball.
They do. They had a national day of mourning when Akira Toriyama passed. So yeah, they fucking love Dragon Ball, bro. Yeah, they'll be good. They'll be really good. They'll be strong.
Are we putting a shot on the winner? It's almost like we're putting some bets on for the tournament.
Oh,
I'm going to move my chips in.
All right.
The tournament's in January, but we can.
Yeah, why
still
not?
Fine.
Yeah,
the dock will still be there.
Yeah, the dock's still going to be there. All right. I'd say, well, I'll let you guys have your first choices then. So you're locking in with Mexico with Golden Freezer then, taking it. What about
100%.
yourself, Phil?
Also, Freezer's my boy. I play Freezer.
He's a goat, man. He's the goat. What about yourself, Phil? Who are you going for?
Well, seeing as I know probably the least about Dragon Ball Z, I'm probably just going to pick France because you've alluded to that being super overpowered. So I'm going to back the French on this one. And I know from being over in Paris and France rather recently, there's a lot of people who like Dragon Ball. I saw a lot of people wearing T-shirts and just day-to-day wear that suggested they might be fans of the series. So I'm just going off that. But one thing I did want to comment on, and I did watch the video where they did the full draw, and it was like watching the FA Cup football draw, and I was just giggling away where they were like, "I'm for France," and then they picked out, well, he obviously won't speak in English, was he? But he picked out the character, he picked out the country that went and matched them up, and I was just laughing away. I thought it was really, really funny. But yeah, the balancing for this is just going to be crazy because you alluded to it about this game. Balancing is all over the place. So it's going to be an entertaining watch. But I think along the same lines of Spencer here, that I think it's meant to be just entertainment. It's not meant to be serious. Now, I would really hate for it to get too serious because it's Dragon Ball Z. It's just meant to be a bit jokey, a bit fun. So I really like the way they've set these tournaments up. And I hope the players that actually gravitate and move through the tournaments actually play it that way and they have a bit of fun with it.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good watch. That's for damn sure. I 100% know it's going to be fun. Now, I think, and I didn't make this clear, but for the people that enter the tournament on the day and they have a chance to qualify, 7 champions from that, the characters they can have are Perfect Cell, Super Saiyan Blue, Vegito, Goku Black, Rose, Kefla, Jiren Full Power, Janemba, and Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. I got a feeling the person who's been a fucking nightmare on the rankings is Cell. And I think he's going to win the overall thing. I think it's going to be a Cell washout. Perfect form, baby. And there we go. So that is it for my Dragon Ball news. We shall move it on. So in terms of categories, I'm going to go for something that I know that Spence is not overly fond of, but I was thinking about this originally.
What the fuck?
Citrus fruits. How's that?
Lemon.
Lime.
Orange.
Clementine.
Tangerine.
Mandarin.
Orange.
Oh, we said orange. Oh, Phil.
Just normal orange? Did you say normal orange?
I said normal orange, yeah. I did say normal orange. Spence, Saved by the Bell.
Film it, I'll send you a tenner later, yeah? That's crazy.
Quick news, guys. Now, I'm going to bring the tone down slightly because we've all been having a little fun throughout your sections, but I've got some sad news, a bit of an announcement from Firewalk Studios, which I'm going to try and read verbatim. Okay, so let me just get up the tweet. Here we go. Firewalk is signing off one last time. Firewalk began with the idea of bringing the joy of multiplayer to a larger audience. Along the way, we assembled an incredible team who were able to navigate growing a new startup into a team during a global pandemic. Firewalk was founded in 2018 and was very small for its first couple of years, only entering into full production in 2022. Build a new customizable next generation FPS Unreal 4 to 5, delivering top-tier gameplay, beautiful worlds, and a performance of 60 frames per second technical experience on a stable and scalable backend on a PS5 and PC to hundreds and thousands of players in our beta. They managed an acquisition and integration while readying technical and preliminary tests, and ultimately shipped and delivered a great FPS experience to players, even if it landed much more narrowly than hoped against a heavily consolidated market. We took some risks along the way, marrying aspects of card battling and fighting games with first-person shooters. And although some of these and other aspects of the IP didn't land as we hoped, the idea of putting these new things into the world is critical to pushing the medium forward. The talent at Firewalk and the level of individual craft is truly world-class, and the team within Sony Interactive Entertainment and across the industry will be fortunate to work with them. Please reach out to recruitment at PlayStation for inquiries, and thank you all for the very many teams, partners and fans who have supported us along the way. See you in the Tempest, Firewalk Studio. So very, very sad news indeed, guys. But that's not all. I know I've knocked you down that Firewalk Studios is disappearing. Well, I've got the killing blow now, because Herman Holst has sent out an announcement to the PlayStation staff and it's been publicized. And I've picked out the particular passage which relates to Firewalk. And it reads, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land enough with players. And as a result, we took the game offline. We have spent considerable time these past few months exploring all options. And then he goes on to say, after much thought, we determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all at Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. Terrible news, guys, but that's confirmation that Firewalk have been axed from the PlayStation family, and Concord is a goner. We will not be seeing Concord ever again, unfortunately. Or that's how I've interpreted it. Now, Spencer, I want to come over to you first. How you feeling, mate? Do you need a hug?
I'd love a hug, mate. Jesus Christ. I loved Concord, man. I thought it was so good, but for some reason people didn't feel the same. I really don't understand why people hated it so much. I know everyone's saying on about the he, him, she, her, they, them, all that in their names and stuff. It didn't matter. The gameplay was sick, and that's what a game should live by. There's too much politics at the minute in video games, and it's mental that it got this far, that the game got taken off. Studio shut down. Just last episode, I think I said, well, Concord's not finished yet. It's going to be back. We just don't know how. And then I think the next day, they posted about it. I'm not surprised by this news because it's rare that a game has such a bad reception as Concord did. But I don't think they deserve this. I think this is... We always talk about people getting let go. A whole studio closing down. Concord wasn't anywhere near bad enough to warrant this. This is fucking awful.
100%. Davey, how are you feeling?
It's a shame, man. There's another reality out there somewhere where this game found an audience and we're playing it every single fucking Thursday night. And it makes me sad, man. It fucking cripples me, actually, because you're right, Spence. Last episode we were saying that, look, we don't know what's going to be happening when it comes to like the Amazon project where Concord are featured there. And how long do we have to wait until Concord's back? And God, we can't wait to get back to it. And now it's just never going to happen. And I just don't understand why or how they couldn't think of turning it into a free-to-play game. I don't get. I don't understand like why they think it's better just to cut their losses and run rather than at least try and recoup some development cost for it by putting it out there for us to buy. Because if all they had to do was just put out a fucking couple of great skins. And fucking, even if there's only a few thousand people that are playing it, just milk the fuck out of us. I don't care. Like, if it was back, I'd be happily playing it, you know? It goes to show when we can play a game like Resistance online that had 7 people in it, and we had a great night because we were just constantly in that full lobby, a couple of hundred people playing it wouldn't be the end of the world for a free-to-play, because we'd be fucking playing it. So, you know, all you do is you just scale down the amount of servers you have across the world, and just pump the fucking microtransactions out there. And I would have quite happily supported it. And it's a fucking shame, man. And I totally agree with you, Spence. I don't think that Firewalk deserved this. It's just a fucking goddamn shame.
It's a very, very dark day indeed. And obviously we spoke in length about things that Firewalk possibly could do for the future of Concord, which I'm very sad that none of those dreams will become a reality, because we're not going to see it ever again. And reading a little bit more into some of the links that was provided in the doc, thank you very much, Davey, I picked out this passage, and it really hits home how badly Concord was received by the public. Now, Concord debuted on August 23rd on both PS5 and PC, but Sony took the game offline in September 6th after poor sales of the game. Estimate has put the sales to under 25,000 copies. And only Concord managed to hit an all-time peak of 697 players on Steam. Now, I don't fully believe all the Steam views because we didn't have a problem getting into any lobby on the PlayStation. But apparently, and this was the killing blow in the passage that I read, or the article I read, this was lower than the peak of Lord of the Rings Gollum. So,
wow.
Pretty damning stuff altogether. But all we can hope is that the talented Firewalk are able to find new homes and aren't put off by this experience, because we don't want to see this happening again. We really don't. Terrible stuff. Moving on. Spencer, let's bring the joy back. Now, I want to take you through, or I want you to introduce me to, school subjects.
Ooh, okay. English,
Geography,
Mathematics,
history,
business studies,
art,
technology,
biology,
computer science,
physics,
psychology.
biology.
Oh, we said biology, my friend. I
Did
just
you?
said it. Yeah, I
You
just
did,
said it
yeah,
on my last
literally
one.
Just this last one.
I've done terribly the last two rounds. Terrible.
Good.
Yeah, knock him over.
Quick news. So this is a nice little bit of news here, and it's mostly only here because I fucking adore this franchise. We Were Here is having a massive franchise sale on Steam, and there's a little something in there that I specifically wanted to mention. So what I'll first say is the games. So We Were Here Forever is £7.49. Bargain. We Were Here Together, which is the third one, £4.17. Bargain. We Were Here is free to play on Steam, so it doesn't even matter. It's nice that they get it for free. We had to pay on PlayStation. It's a bit bullshit, but fair enough. We Were Here 2 is for some reason not on sale, £8.50, but cheap enough. We Were Here Expeditions, which is the little mini one they did, which I think is their best one. It's bloody brilliant. £1.49. Bargain. But that's not the big news here. The big news is that they're actually making a new game called Where Are We? And that was just hidden in this franchise sale, just saying coming soon. And I could not believe it. I tried looking for a trailer on YouTube, doesn't exist. Tried looking anywhere for any information about it, couldn't find any. It's just on the franchise sale page on Steam. It's just purple background, gold text, Where Are We? And it says, in the depths of the unknown, you stumble upon what is both foreign and yet unsettlingly familiar. And there's a few pictures and a short video, but nothing to go off. It just looks really pretty. And it's a new We Were Here game. What do you boys think of that? Obviously, Phil, I don't think you've played any of these, but you have a Steam Deck and hopefully some PC friends. Are you thinking of diving in with these bargains on Steam?
You're right, Spence. This seems incredible value. Very, very low prices for some spectacular games, or at least I've heard they are spectacular. Because I've got a bit of a problem, really, when it comes to these games, because it is a co-op game. And unfortunately, I've only got two friends. And both of them already played it. So it's a pretty sad moment. I've cried over this quite a lot. Sat at the bottom of my stairs and thought about you lads enjoying yourselves playing co-op together. But I've never been invited. So yeah, sad time. So I'm reaching out for a friend. Any viewer, any listener want to follow me? We'll probably get those followers up now to 3 followers over on my Twitter. Links are in the description. Philip Hoy on X. I'd love to find someone who wants to play this game.
I think you've always got Lewis that you could fall back on.
I said
Worst
friends.
case. Yeah, yeah. The only thing would be I don't know. I don't know how that would go. I think that would be like playing Overcooked with your missus. That level.
Yeah.
That level of rage that it may bubble up. I love Lewis, but I don't know. I don't know how his brain would work with a puzzle. It's an unknown. It's a puzzling thing to ponder. And I don't know if I'd want to open that Pandora's box, but
It's only one way to find out.
That's very true. And these are cheap enough on the PlayStation itself. And I would encourage you to buy them because they are fantastic, as Spencer's been saying. I think you should take that for the team. And Lewis, I'm sure that he would love to experience these games. So I'm sure he hasn't played them. Do you think that's a good idea, Spence?
Well, it's either that or when Where Are We comes out on PlayStation, we'll screen share it for you. It's that or nothing at the minute, I think.
You can watch our playthrough. You can watch us having fun.
I think I'd probably prefer that. Sorry, Lewis.
Damn.
Oh, that's some shade.
We could do a race, mate. We could all start at the same time and see who solves all the puzzles first.
Yeah, put 10 shots on it.
No way. I know Spencer's cracked at like little puzzles and things. This isn't fair.
No.
You've just teamed up with the goat, Davey. You're getting carried. Yeah. I know how this works.
Oh, mate. Some of these puzzles, dude, I look at them and I don't have a fucking clue. And there's some... to be fair, with We Were Here, they've always been a very collaborative effort, I feel like. And granted, most of the time, Spence, you've played it before I've played it. So you kind of already know one way around it, right? Which gives us a massive advantage. But I feel like, I don't feel like I'm getting carried through them. But maybe that's because you're being very polite. And you're making me feel good about myself. But I don't know. I don't know. Some of them I'm fucking useless at, and I know I'm holding us back. But no, I gotta agree with what you guys are saying. I honestly feel like this is, if you're on PC, this is a must. Like, you have to do this. And if you're on console, they're on PlayStation Store. They're a small developer. Please support them. If you've got a friend to play this through with, do it. See it through. You will not fucking regret it. They've all got platinum trophies associated with them. We've achieved the platinum for every single one of these. They're fantastic. They really, really are. They're some of the best co-op experiences you can have.
Well said, mate. Well said. And if you need any more convincing, I've bought every single game twice. That's how good they are. And I've beat all of them. At least, other than Expeditions, I've beat them all about 3 times. They're so good. And the puzzles don't even change. Why am I playing them again? It's to get other people to play them. So sick. But yeah, that's it. That's it. When we find out more news on Where Are We and what it actually is, because they really being cryptic about it, I will be the one to tell you. I promise you, listeners and lads, because I'm going to be fucking hyped. I adore this franchise. But that aside, moving on. So back round to yourself, Davey. Let's go for, just name an anime. Because if you know Ghibli, this will give you some legs. Just animes.
All right. Dragon Ball.
Pokemon.
Attack on Titan.
Dragon Ball Z.
Are we allowing that?
Different anime?
Well, it's technically different, but it's cheap.
Naruto.
Dragon Ball GT.
Dragon Ball Super. And getting them all out of the way. The ones I know he's watched. And getting them out of the way.
Oh, for
I'm
me?
playing the game.
Oh, that's nice
yeah,
of you.
I'm playing the game.
Digimon.
Oh, hell yeah. Death Note.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Slam Dunk.
Code Geass.
Dr. Stone.
Naruto Shippuden.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Exorcist.
Chainsaw Man.
Attack on Titan.
Oh, I said it, mate.
Oh, you did?
Damn. I wish I didn't, but I did.
Ah, damn.
Okay, quick news. Here's the thing we wanted to talk about earlier, but we never did. PS Rewired. Listeners, do you want the ability to be able to play older games online again that have had their servers shut off? I know it's a rhetorical question, but the answer, of course, you're screaming through your radios that I can hear over space and time, is a resounding yes. Well, worry no longer about how this happens, because it fucking exists. Now, the reason why this came up, and the reason why we even stumbled onto this, because it's been going for a little while, it's been going for a couple of years, is because there is a post out on Twitter that was doing the rounds about Killzone's anniversary. And on that, it mentioned that there was a community meetup to be able to play Killzone 2 online. I thought, well, how the fuck are they doing this? Click through and discovered this whole fucking website, psrewired.com. Fuck me. They have got so many games on there. And the way it works, listener, if you're thinking, oh, do I have to mod my console? Do I have to do something? First up, I'm bringing this to you. So you should know that there is no technical knowledge needed whatsoever. It is as simple as going onto your PlayStation 3, and granted, you do need a PlayStation 3 or a PC. I'm going on the basis that you have a PlayStation 3 because you're not a loser. Okay, audience? There are PC instructions. Go on the website because I ain't fucking touching that bollocks. On PlayStation 3, all you do is you go onto your network settings and you just change it to a custom one that they've provided. When you do that, Bob's your uncle. It just fucking works. It's like magic. It's absolutely wild. But the list of games that they have supported with their own customer service is fucking mad. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just a couple to pull out for the audience. I'm going to really spice these up a little bit. So if you're a racing fan, there's Gran Turismo 4 on there. Killzone for shooters, Resistance 1 for shooters. The SOCOM series is on there. Siphon Filter, fucking NBA. And if you want to go back and you want to go and ask people to show their boobies online, you could go back to PlayStation Home. It fucking works in there. So if you want the ability to be able to go back and experience a slice of time that you may have not ever experienced, you can fucking do it. And the GOAT MotorStorm Pacific fucking Rift is on there. So we've all just gone out and rebought because I've lost my PlayStation 3 collection. Still don't know where it is. I had to go out and just... My CEX has just been fucking posting orders through the door and buying all these old games again. And I got Pacific Rift again. Because we're going to be playing that next week. Which I'm fucking mega excited about. We're going to be playing that next Thursday. Which I'm super, super hyped for. Check it out. You will not fucking regret it. You will not fucking regret it. And from my experience, I'm going to come to you guys in a second, lads. These have all worked perfectly. I haven't really had any issues with lag, latency. It's been fucking working. The only downside to this entire thing is using a PlayStation 3 controller. And that is it. That is the only downside to this entire thing. So do yourself a favor and go check it out. But guys, now we can speak a little bit more freely. Spence, I'm going to come to you first. What's been your experience of setting it up, getting it all working, all that stuff?
Well, my experience was just a PS3's under my bed. Get it out, plug it in, plugged it into this screen I'm in front of right here. Network, change some numbers on your DNS server. You're done. And then I popped in Resistance, booted it up, got online. And then I had to make an American account so I could get the DLC maps for free and all that nonsense. But it just works, mate. It's like magic. It's insane. And like you said, there was no latency. There was no issues with online, no hit detection errors, nothing like that as far as I could tell. Just having to use a PS3 pad is unfortunately really shit. But the game functions as if it was an official server. There is no issues with it whatsoever. It was beautiful and we met a brilliant community because of it. It was great. I can only speak on Resistance. Obviously, I wasn't there for the Killzone night. But class. I don't understand how they've got it working so well. It's just nice to see. It's nice. It's really pleasant, I think.
What about yourself, Mr. Hoy?
And the best thing that you've missed out from your fabulous intro to this service is that it is free. 100% free. And PS3, we find ourselves in this sweet spot of retro gaming. Because if you go back and you try and buy a Silent Hill or you try and buy a game that cannot be mentioned from the PS1, they're relatively expensive and quite hard to find these days because people are buying them up because we're getting a lot of remakes and reboots, etc., of older games. But go to your local CEX and scroll through the vast library of PS3 and oh my God, it is ridiculously cheap. So I went in there, the same as Davey. I think actually you ordered online. I tend to go down to my local shop and I scrolled through and I found MotorStorm, the original, and I found Pacific Rift as well. And that cost me £5 whole. Actually, it was $4.99 or $4.98 because they were $2.99 and $1.99. But oh my God, I've got two incredible games to play and we could play them online together for the grand total of just under £5. Now, that is superb value. Brought to you by PS5 Pro We Touch. Incredible value. But yeah, you guys are right. It was a great experience, and it was seamless. It was like the olden days of playing on my PS3, connecting to the server. The PS3 is a lot slower than maybe you remember or maybe I remember because we're so used to PS5. And going back to the PS3, it's kind of crazy how slow it was. Did you guys find that? I think you did, because there was an instance where we were playing Resistance Fallen Man, and our friends within the community, shout out to Captain Cape Man, because in particular he was the one that took us under his wing and sort of introduced us to the finer details that came along with that game. But he said, go along to the store and you should be able to find some map packs. So I logged on because I've got an American account, and of course they were free. The boys had to make American accounts. See how that switched around on you boys? I had it ready. Got an American account on my PlayStation, haven't I? So I logged on, and oh my God, it took about 5 minutes to connect to the store. It was like just loaded. And I'm like, is this normal? I don't remember it being this slow, but it probably was. But PS5 has just spoilt us because we have such a stellar experience now with kind of online and buying things from the store. We come to expect that as being normal. But going back to your PS3, it wasn't as good. It was a little bit janky, but surprise, surprise, it was still an enjoyable experience, and we were able to download those map packs. And Spence, you were completely right. The community that we found ourselves instantly absorbed into was incredible. Like they were taking us through all certain really deep aspects of the game, and we were playing with them for quite a while. And I think it was during the point where we were downloading the map packs, we said to one of the lads, are you going easy on us? And they kind of were like laughing a little bit and joking. And they kind of said, well, yeah, we were, pulling our shots a little bit just so you guys can have a bit of fun. And I said to them, don't hold back in the next game. So they rubbed their hands together and were laughing away. And strangely enough, we did better in those rounds where they actually started playing. It was really, really cool. And Spence, hats off to you, sir. You seem to just level up. I don't know what it was, because those games aren't games that you have played. So it's not kind of taught behavior. You've just got in there and just smoked with natural skill. So congratulations to you, sir, because you were the best out of me, Davey, and the MPS We Trust crew. And you've never really played these games before. So congratulations. Thank you, mate.
Come on, come to expect it now at this point, surely, boys.
We'll wait to see what it's like on Killzone 2, my friend. Very different game, and we'll look forward to having you alongside us in our endless war against the Hellgast when we next play. But I want to say the biggest thing about all this service, right, that we haven't mentioned, is that the Discord integration, the Discord server they've set up, is absolutely fantastic. It shows you how many people are playing in that game at that time. So you can go in there, full message board integration, full chat function. It just it's amazing. It's like one of the best Discords I've been in. And you just know from from the Discord who's where. And they have community meetup nights for different nights. So Fridays, they have one for Killzone. Thursday, they have one for Killzone as well, for Killzone 2. And then Friday is one for Resistance. And the Resistance guys, if you actually join and get in there, they will invite you to their own specific one, which then has all of them for all around the world. And they're all just constantly, what they said to us is that there is somebody there doing a 12-hour shift every single day. So they said there will be somebody there to be able to catch you and help you get into the game. So don't worry, whatever time you sign on, someone will be there to be able to guide you. And I think that's fucking amazing. The Resistance community is specifically very, very small, but the most dedicated group I think I've ever met in a game. And granted, we were playing fighting games. I've been playing fighting games in different communities ever since I was 18. And these guys are so much more hardcore than anyone I think I've ever met across any other game. So it was eye-opening. And what a lovely group of lads.
And if you join and Cap's not in there, you'll probably find us in there, because we're planning to revisit those servers and play a hell of a lot more of these retro PS3 games, because we had a ball, didn't we, lads? And I can't wait to go back. I really can't.
Nor can I. And what I would say, and this is not just a plug, go into our Discord. If you're a fan of the podcast, join our Discord. because I'm actually going to be using it to be able to drum up different community nights for things. So go on in there, and I can let you know when we're going to be all heading in there, and you can meet us in Killzone 2, Resistance, or Motorstorm Pacific Rift, and we can just have a fucking great time. It's just fucking fun. Honestly, take my word for it. It's absolutely fantastic. And I hope to see you guys, some of you listeners, down the road on this. You got to support this kind of shit. This is fucking insane. I've never heard of anything like this on the console space. PC are lucky. They get this kind of shit all the time. We never do. Take it while the opportunity's there. But that is it. Let's move this on. So, in terms of my last category for the night, we did a nice citrus fruity one last time. But let's move away from food, because I know that that's a big bugbear for yourself, Spencer. Let's do sci-fi movies then. Sci-fi movies, and you can't repeat the same franchise.
Alien.
Predator.
Terminator.
Star Trek.
Dune.
Blade Runner.
Star Wars.
Oh, I was about to say.
Oh!
I'll take the last. I was about to say what can't be mentioned.
It's not sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
I know. I got caught on myself, and I was just like, I can't say that. Wait, why am I trying to say that? And then I was immediately. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll take this loss.
Can you imagine if you'd had like a shot and the loss?
And the loss
from
yeah.
that. Yeah, fuck me, that would be grim.
Yeah, I had to fight my brain for a second there.
Quick news. And I believe that gives me the last quick news of this evening. Now I'm going to bring the tempo back up, because I very much lowered the tone of the show talking about the death of Concorde, but I've got some positive news to talk about and some lovely announcements about Astrobot, guys, and how well it's been doing. So it has sold 1.5 million units. That's an incredible showing on the PS5. Now, that 1.5 million copies sold in 9 weeks since release, so it's been selling like absolute hotcakes. Now, reading the graphic that was put in our doc, 37% of those users are what's known as new users. So they are users that did not purchase any first-party software other than Astrobot. So there's something very appealing about little Astrobot that's brought people into PlayStation and buying these games. Now, lads, I want to ask you, has the torch passed from Crash to Ratchet to Sackboy to Knack? Nate. Is Astrobot now our new Mario for PlayStation? Spencer, I'm going to come to you first.
He's definitely our new Mario, I think. I thought you were going to say our new mascot, and I was going to say no. He's not the new mascot, but he is our new Mario. It's the ideas they can have for like mixing up the platforming and stuff. It's endless. It's like how Mario gets a new ability every time. Astro's going to do the same thing, except we're going to get a bit of nostalgia along the way. Hell yeah. Definitely our new Mario, and he should be, because he's better than Mario anyway.
Davey, how are you feeling about that wild statement?
I'm giving him eyes. I realize for the audio only podcast, probably thinking, why aren't they saying something about this? That's fucking wild. I wouldn't go that far, right? Like, I'm not even massive on Mario, but 3D Mario, since having my son, I think I've played most of them. I haven't played it doesn't even matter. I can't remember what it's fucking called. Galaxy 2.
Which one?
Galaxy 2 I never played. I know. It's like Phil's fucking Skyrim mission earlier.
I played an hour. Saw the intro in that castle. I actually played it on one of the original VR headsets when I was working for Gadget Show. That's what they made me test it on. And I played that intro fucking hundreds of times, trying to get that VR headset, or the beta of the VR headset, set up to play that game.
The opening of that in VR must be nuts, sitting in a cart. That must have been fucking wow. This is VR. I'm looking at some guy opposite me for 5 minutes while he gives me a backstory. Whoa! VR.
Wild times, mate. Wild times for sure.
But yeah, I think apart from Spencer's crazy statement, I wouldn't go that far. I think that the newest Astrobot is up there with some of the best in the genre. I fully would say that. And it's a 10 out of 10 experience, like we all rated it as, and one of the best games of this year. I wouldn't say he's the mascot, no. I agree with Spence. I think it's Kratos. I think Kratos is the mascot for PlayStation. I think he is, and I think deservedly so. He's their longest running IP that's still running. So, unless you count a car from Gran Turismo, which obviously you can't. So I think he deserves that spot. But I think Astro could well be the face of PlayStation in a couple of years. I think if they keep churning out titles every 2 years or something, I don't think anyone would have. I don't think I'd have a problem if they put him front and center, Astrobot. I don't think I'd bat an eyelid at it, actually. And I think that's really strong branding to be able to have that, and for me not to think, why are they pushing this guy? Like when Sackboy was being pushed, I was thinking, do you really want to push this guy? Like, he's not as good as Crash was. He's not as good as Spyro or any of these. Still class, but maybe I don't respect him the same way. Whereas Astro, I do. I have a lot of respect for Astro. So yeah, I'm all for it, mate. Let Astro take over. I'm happy with that outcome, Phil.
I quite like Astro being our mascot. I'm not going to lie. It is quite strange having Kratos as the mascot. It's not very appealing for the younger audience, which obviously Astro is very much targeted towards. But of course, Astro can appeal to everyone of all ages. I can't see many children getting excited about playing Kratos as opposed to playing as Astrobot, because he's cute and he has that appeal towards him. And we've often talked about PlayStation not really thinking about, the broader spectrum of users on the console. And Astrobot very much appeals, as I said, across generations. So I'm all for him taking that torch away from Kratos and running with it into the future, because he's just full of evergreen content, really, when it comes to Astrobot. He's going to appear in everything. He's going to star in everything. He's going to cameo in everything. Hell, I want Astrobot racing. I want Astrobot golf. I want Astrobot tennis, right? Let's just go down that track with Astrobot and see how far we can push it, because why not milk it? It's a beautiful little IP that Sony has created, and for me, I just want to see more of it. Why not? Bring it on.
Lovely thoughts, mate. I'd be looking forward to running some Mod Nation races, but it's Astrobot races, throwing back to another PS3 gem there for you. Don't know if that's supported, but have a look on the PS3 Wired and let me know. Anyway, enough with that. Let's bring it on to the scores then, shall we, lads? So, coming in with 1 point, the best scoring of the night, is myself, which is very uncommon. So, congratulations to me. Spencer, you have 2 points, just scraping under. Phil, unfortunately, does mean you are the loser today, so you had a whopping 3 points on the board.
Ouch.
Oh, wasn't your best showing today, and it's all because I gassed you up earlier and said that you're a Mr. Consistent, and now that consistency has fallen away. But, hey-oh, it's only one more to your doc. You're only at 3, mate, so I don't think there's anything to worry about at this point. Nothing.
Well, I'm not going to sweat it, I'll be honest.
No, I think you'll be absolutely fine. Well, with that revelation, let's bring it on to Rumour Has It.
Kick it!
You wake up with a rumour and you don't want to go. You ask if it's confirmed and they still say no.
So lads, Rumour Has It. We have a major one, and for this, the button is going to be off. So we're not going to have to worry about saying those fateful words of Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
We can say it as much as we want because the rumour is Resident Evil related, specifically Resident Evil 9. Ooh. So, this comes from Horror Game Central, who tweeted out, according to Bio Declassified, a recent playtester has revealed new information about Resident Evil 9. All information is considered a rumour until officially shown by Capcom, obviously, hence why it's in this section of the show. So, this is what they've said here, guys. It will take place 4 years after Resident Evil Village. Jill Valentine and Leon S. Kennedy will be the main characters. Chris Redfield and the fucking hot dog himself, Barry Burton, will be the supporting characters. Jill Valentine is dressed more tactically, similar to a look in Resident Evil 5 Lost in Nightmares. So expect a little cap on, little combat jacket, combat trousers. Strong look. Leon S. Kennedy is dressed similarly to his look in Resident Evil Damnation, aka he don't have that drip. He's just there, all right? Leather jacket on for some reason. Jill Valentine looks the same as she did in Resident Evil Death Island. However, Leon S. Kennedy looks much older. The main plot, here's the juice here, okay? Jill from the BSAA and Leon from DSO, who investigate an island where the company who created Eveline resides. They are creating mass clones of Eveline with the Megamycete. Chris and Barry will support Jill and Leon via radio calls. One mentions Rosemary Winters. They will use Rosemary's blood to create a vaccine for the residents of the island. Jill and Leon will be infected with the Megamycete. Blue Umbrella will return, and the island location consists of an abandoned hospital, caves, abandoned houses, dark forest, abandoned factory, laboratory, and a temple. The rumor doesn't stop there. Here's more. Main enemies will be evolved zombies, similar to Ganados in Resident Evil 4, as they can also use melee weapons. They worship the moon and have moon tattoos on their arms. They can be heard singing to the moon whilst looking out to the sea. Leon will be stalked by a constant enemy, while Jill will be attacked by the Goat Man. Antagonist is called Mr. Simon. Playtests were held in April and September. The April playtest was a Jill section in the abandoned hospital, while the September playtest included Leon in the forest. Resident Evil 9 will close the Resident Evil 7 and Village story with the Megamycete. Fucking hell. Giant ass rumor and mega detailed. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this is actually legit, or do you think this is someone's fan fiction? Phil, I'm going to come across to you first. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Davey, hearing this, I was super excited, as I'm sure you were, because any news around, and it's weird to say it in our show, Resident Evil, the game that cannot be mentioned, or the game that can be mentioned within this section of the show, I was excited, and I was reading through, and I was thinking, yeah, Jill, Leon, yep, tick, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, if I hadn't have read that, and you had come to me, and you said, Phil, I know you like Resident Evil. Can you put together what you expect the game to be like? And I think most of these details I probably would have just come up with. I don't think there's a lot there that is surprising in any way. I think it's quite a predictable rumor, I have to say.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It is, to me, I haven't made up my mind yet, so I'm looking forward to hearing what Spence says. But it kind of feels a bit fan fiction-y to me, you know, in that it's all kind of like everything you'd want it to be.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
It feels obvious, doesn't it? It feels like all the things that everyone wants, they've just put in a long list and claimed it as truth.
Yeah. I also just wonder how there's so much detail with this, and that kind of worries me a little bit. Like, it kind of makes me doubt it because it's so detailed. Like, you can imagine when there's normally leaks, you get spatters, right? Whereas this is that's a lot of information. That took me ages to read through, you know? Like, and this rumors generally are like, so-and-so's in development, Jill and Leon are the main characters. You'd be like, okay, all right, maybe there's something to this, you know. But to have as much information as here, it's going to go one of two ways, isn't it? It's either totally bang on or it's just a load of bollocks. But Spence, before I get my full thoughts out of the way and we kind of delve a little bit deeper on this, what is your gut telling you, my friend?
Load of waffle, mate. Absolute load of waffle. Like you boys saying, there's way too much information. And if there was a playtest in April, why do we not hear about anything then? I'm sure there probably was rumors around the time, but nothing like this. And then, yeah, it just doesn't, there's too much for it to be real, I suppose. I mean, granted, from 2 playtests, you would get this amount of information. You'd get more. But only one mention of Rosemary Winters when it's the game that closes out that trilogy. And just it stepping away from Rose and Chris as much as it is to have Jill and Leon. There's no way. I do not. Nah, no chance. No.
So you're saying a resounding no. I think that's really interesting you said that about Chris being more a secondary character. And that's what kind of makes me feel that's a bit weird, actually, to be honest, because Chris has been involved in this entire, what will be a trilogy. You know, he comes to save the day for Ethan at the end of 7. 8, he's throughout the entire thing. So it does feel a bit strange for him to then be a secondary character or a backup character rather than being somebody that's going on the island and absolutely wrecking shit up. And I don't know why that would be. Now, do you feel that is kind of the Achilles heel to this rumor that Chris is taking that backseat, or do you think that after the success of Death Island and how much us as the fans adore Jill Valentine, that it's time to put her back in the spotlight and this is the perfect time to be able to do that? What are your thoughts, lads?
I don't think it's the Achilles heel, because as much as you say Chris has been involved, he hasn't. He's been a secondary character in 7 and 8. In 7, he's at the very end. He hands you an ice gun. And in 8, he's in the opening. He's at the end. He's not throughout the game, really. You don't see him again until Magneto. So honestly, he's not in there that much at all. So a secondary character for Chris makes sense, but does it? He's the only character from main Resident Evil to be in 7 and 8, and they keep him secondary, especially after we got the players in a little bit. Yeah, it's not the Achilles heel, I don't think, but it's not smart, I feel.
And Phil?
For myself, and as much as I said this would be a list that I probably could have come up with myself, I do tend to believe it and want it to happen, right? Now, you're trying to pick apart them having Chris as kind of a secondary character, and yes, in 7 and 8, he does make appearances, but I think what they've done here, they've just gone for the bigger names, haven't they, with Jill and Leon? Of course, I don't believe they've ever appeared in a video game together. I think the first time they met was on Death Island, wasn't it? Where they had that almost sexual embrace, where there was a lot of chemistry going on. So I want to see where that goes, picking up after our small review of that little movie over on your YouTube channel, Davey. I think we all remarked about the electricity that we could feel in the air between those two. So of course, I want to see a little bit more of them. And I think they are the two that you would probably pick as fans and as casuals. I think those would be the two names that you'd want to see progress within a story. Having Chris as a side character, that doesn't bother me at all. And I think there's probably more than him just appearing on a radio, because I read that post a little bit further, Davey, that you posted out. And obviously there's lots of comments around on Twitter, and people are talking about Barry as well. And they're referring to, radio conversations within Resident Evil 4 and how that, pushed the story forward. I don't think Chris is just going to be down to progressing the story. There's going to be some sort of twist with that character, isn't there?
I think the more I look at this, right, I would be over the moon with this happening. I really would. And I think the big story point that's left at the end of 8 is that it does tie up a lot of loose ends. It does, especially when it comes to 7, and really kind of ties those in together and caps off Ethan Winters' story really, really well. But when you saw those soldiers that were like kind of zombie-esque soldiers at the end of 8, and the blue umbrella and all that, that's like a massive just dangling fruit there that nobody's been able to pick at. So I do want to see where that goes. And I think having Jill back with Barry as support is like a fucking dream come true for me, right? Like, I'd absolutely love that. I would be really keen for this. The only thing that I feels kind of a missed opportunity, and it does make sense, because if it's Megamycete again, it would be weird for it to go back to T-Virus-esque, but where it says like evolve zombies, right, similar to Ganados in Resident Evil 4, it makes sense for them to be like that in terms of that's the virus that they're dealing with. But when you're throwing it back to Jill, I'm just missing some classic zombies, man, in like the newer games, and I think it would just be nice to be able to have like Crimson Heads or something like that, like where they're fast, they're fucking scary as shit, rather those than last game we had like werewolves and that kind of thing, which was different, and I really did enjoy that different take on it. But going back to like classic kind of characters, which you imagine if it's Jill and Leon, it's going to be a third person game rather than first, which again would be a bit of a strange departure from 7, 8, especially if this is like a trilogy. I don't know, I think I'd kind of like a little bit more of a throwback there, I suppose, and maybe have some of those more classic elements to it. Although, in saying this, in counter to my own point, Resident Evil 4 did it so goddamn well with the Ganados that I'm quite happy to fight them again. So it's kind of, I don't know what I want, mate. I think that the big thing is they don't really want me on the team to be able to drive forward the next Resident Evil, because I'd be torn. Because I love what they've done with the remake stuff. I think it's just Jill. I think as soon as Jill's in, I want it to be a specific way. And I don't know, man. I'm tying myself up in knots here. But before I hand it over for you guys for the final kind of bit, I suppose the only other thing I want to pull out here is that does anyone else feel it's a bit weird that Leon's the one stalked by a constant enemy?
The stalking thing I don't find strange. The Goat Man as well. It's a weird name for an enemy. But I suppose maybe in 8, the collectibles you shot were goats. That might have been a little hint towards it. It might be something to do with those. I'd be surprised if it was. I have an issue with the entire bottom paragraph of this rumor. I think a lot of it sounds a bit silly. Them worshipping the moon and having moon tattoos, I don't care about that. I think that's just a bit strange. The Goatman is weird. Mr. Simon is a weird name as well. Just strange. The playtest held in April. Didn't hear about anything. And I don't like that this is going to close out the Mega Mycete. Because the Mega Mycete, we don't know what it's capable of yet. No one knows. It could do so much more than we've seen in Village. They could do anything with the Mega Mycete. They could create a new strain of virus or something with it. And this, sure, they might. But this seems to hint that it's going to be the last time we see it. And that, I feel like there's a lot more they could do with it.
I think for me, the thing that is odd that it's not here is that, and I guess this all depends on the time that it's set, right? So we had the Shadows of Rose DLC, and we got to see a tiny portion of what she's capable of, right? In the dream state, but didn't really get to see anything more from that. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a bit odd that we just got this character knocking about that we presumably are never going to hear about ever again, right? If this is set like a year after 8, that kid's just a baby, right? Like, they're not going to send that baby out on a mission, are they? So obviously they're not going to be in it. And then if that closed at the Mega Mycete chapter, then fucking ta-da, see you later, and you were just in a shit DLC, and that's it. You know, there's like no more said about that. We'll just leave that alone. Whereas I quite like to see something with that, and I always felt like the Shadows of Rose DLC was just didn't do enough for what I think it could have potentially been, and to kind of leave Rosemary alone and not kind of go anywhere with it. Just, I don't know, just feels a bit weird to me.
Did you really want to see Rose go full Alice and gain her superpowers?
If she becomes a bit evil though, man, and they gotta take her out, that's what I'd like. You know, where maybe she's like sucking into the Mega Mycete, getting a bit powerful, wiping stuff out, and they're like, right, time to calm it down now. She's like, I won't be controlled. You don't control me. And then they're like, oh no, not this. And then they get on the phone to Chris. Chris, she's on a mad thing. And he's like, I'll be out now. Chris just gets exploded or something. No, Chris. He's like dead. That'd be wild for Resident Evil. No one dies from the main cast in Resident Evil. And then they gotta send in the big boys. Gotta send in Leon fucking Kennedy and Jill Valentine. Go take her out. Class. Capcom, I'm still available. Let me know. I'll write some fan fiction for you. But you guys aren't missing the fact that she won't be included then, potentially.
I liked Shadow of Rose. I thought it was quite good. I know you boys don't share my opinion, but I quite liked it. Granted, her powers are naff. This, considering she's supposed to be like the strongest or whatever she's supposed to be, she's making you stop for about 2 seconds. Yeah, great. What a power. I don't know. I'd like more Rose than just this next game, because otherwise, what was the point in Village? You know, the whole game was about saving her. So if that's it, and then they kill her off in the next game, it's like, oh, it's like after watching Aliens and then watching Alien 3. You know, they can't.
Yeah. It's a tough one, man. And I think, you know, if we get in this level of rumor, chances are that we may be seeing this closer than we think. Right? There's that possibility that this could even be something at the Game Awards or early next year reveal. You just never know. Like, if it's this much detail in here, granted, that's if we think it's true. And Spence, you're going on the basis that no, this is not true. And Phil, where did you come down on this? I know you said you'd like it to be true, but are you feeling it actually is?
That's a difficult one because I said that it's somewhere in between in the sense that I would probably predict a lot of these things, but it's actually what we really want, and it kind of works if you read it, and I'm all for it. So I'm going to oppose Spencer on this one. I think this is more truth than rumour.
Okay, more truth than rumour. For me, lads, can I sit on the fence? Can I say I'm going to wait and see? Or do I have to be concrete? Because if I have to be concrete, I'm going to go on the basis that I'm going to go with that it's more false than truth. I think there is some elements of truth in here.
I agree with that.
But I think a lot of this there's like maybe a little nugget here that's been overblown rather than the other way around. Like maybe some of the locations are correct. Maybe the enemies are right. We'll see the goat man. But I don't know. All this seems a bit too much for me. Like I'd expect with this much detail, I'd expect there to be leaked gameplay somewhere. You know?
Yeah.
And there's been nothing like that. So, okay, I'm going to go mostly false. Mostly false.
I'm going mostly true. Spencer's just going false, right?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I agree. There might be some elements of truth in here, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, definitely not real.
Okay, well, we shall leave this rumor here. Audience, if you have any more insider knowledge, because apparently there's loads out there, then by all means, let us know right into the email ps3trust@gmail.com, and I reckon we shall be seeing more about this game very, very soon indeed. I would not be surprised to see this before February is out, which is not a long time in the grand scheme. But let's move it on to the final part of the show. Let's move it on to the topic. Stop! Topic time! And here we are at the topic, and today's topic is listener bloody questions. So you know what time it is, boys? Let's hit the theme. There once was a show some time ago that asked 4 questions every fortnight or so. It became so rare they weren't prepared to have a versatile rhyme. Oh God, I'm scrambling now to get a word that rhymes, so how can I wrap this up? I'll take this mail and go. Our first question for tonight, first one of 2, is written in by No Fate. No Fate asks, Sony can't do wrong when it comes to third-person games. I think it was a mistake cancelling Factions 2. Of course, that's The Last of Us Factions 2, for anyone who isn't aware. How would you feel if they revisited Killzone one last time, but as a third-person cover shooter? It's madness to repeat the same FPS formula and expect a new outcome. Ooh, interesting question. Spence, going to come across to you first. How would you feel about this? Killzone returning, but in a slightly different format.
If it means Killzone returns, I'd be happy with it. But I would rather have Killzone be Killzone. It wouldn't be the same game. It would just be the same IP if they do this. It would be a complete change to the game's formula. And I don't think I would see it as Killzone, even if it is a Killzone title. It'd feel more like a spin-off or something along those lines. But if it means Killzone comes back, I'd welcome it quite happily, I think.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's one of those things that for Killzone, there has been a kind of third-person shooter version called Liberation, which is on the PSP. And if you got PlayStation Premium, you can download it and play it right now. It is included on there. But the reason why it was that is because of the format it was on. It was on PSP. Like, you couldn't make a first-person shooter with one analog stick. It just ain't gonna happen, right? Or if it is, I don't know how the fuck they'd do it. And so they went for this different version of Killzone. And it worked, yeah, it was great. But I don't think anybody would sit there and defend Liberation as being on the same level as Killzone 2 and 3 and the PlayStation 4 version. But yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility. But Phil, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with how No Fate has posed this question. He says that bringing back Killzone and putting it into a cover-based shooter, yeah, for me, I wouldn't want that. If Killzone was to return, I'd want Killzone to return as it used to. I don't think it is madness to repeat that and expect a new outcome, because the reason they stopped Killzone wasn't down to wanting a new outcome. They decided to create a whole new series of games, and they got really, really popular with Horizon. They started making a lot of money. I very much feel that if Guerrilla had ventured into Horizon and Sony hadn't have backed it as much as they have been, then possibly we would have seen Killzone return.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. And I think what No Fate's getting at here is that because of the success because of the lack of success when it comes to Concord, that's I guess what he's referencing here in terms of they trying something new, going back into the first-person genre, and it just didn't hit. So why not go back to what works, right, with third-person games? But I think you're just thinking about it all wrong, No Fate, because Sony's bread and butter in PS3 generation was a mixture of FPS games and third-person games. And certainly not all third-person cover-based shooters. Like, I guess The Last of Us and Uncharted you could put into a third-person cover-based shooter if you wanted to, and I suppose they kind of are. But really, that's it. I mean, like, the rest of their third-person games they did, you know, like Infamous certainly isn't a cover-based shooter, although it does have some of that as an element, which was always the big thing at the time on PS3 generation. I think Sony could go back to the well and revisit some of these popular franchises like Killzone or Resistance, as we mention every fucking goddamn episode. And they could find success with it. They could forge a path that would work. And I think that just because you have a bit of a setback when it comes to Concord, the one thing it certainly wasn't is the gameplay element that let Concord down. It was everything else that was built around that. And I mean, we spent a few episodes ago when you were off, Spence, me, Phil, and Lewis, chatting through the different reasons why Concord failed. And not one of those was a specific part on the gunplay. It was more so like the UI that was built around that, the character design, things like that, right? That held the game back, the card system, you know, how you switch between different players. But I think, and Space Marine kind of shows this, I suppose, to a certain extent. If you go into a game with the same kind of design that worked a long time ago, you can just make that feel fresh again, and you can make that feel fucking fun again. And if they applied the FPS chops that Guerrilla has and put that into a new Killzone with the same kind of multiplayer that it always had, it would do well. Because there's not that many games that do that kind of thing these days. They're all nickel and diming you. They're all battle pass out the wazoo. They're all this bollocks. They could just make a game that is just fun to play. And Killzone just has amazing shooting chops. So I don't see why that would be a bad thing. And that the failure of Concord shouldn't be the reason to shy away from going back to the well and putting these classic franchises and putting them front and center for what they do best. Killzone is a graphically impressive first-person shooter. That's it. Just do it again. Because I can't be the only one fucking crying out for it. I'm certainly not.
As much as, yeah, I'd love to see it return as well. And all it needs to be is a beautiful FPS game. And people, sure, you said here, No Fate, it's madness to repeat the same formula and expect a new outcome. I feel like a good and a bad FPS game isn't that different. It's just the feel that makes it good. The mechanics and what's possible in that game, it could be the exact replica between a good and a bad game, but the guns just feel worse in the bad one. If they feel good, then you don't need to change your formula. You just need to tweak the formula slightly to make it more comfortable to the users. But also, if Guerrilla did go back to Killzone, we know they've smashed it in the past, but how much of the Guerrilla staff is the same staff that made Killzone? I can't imagine all of them are still there.
No, they're certainly not. And it would definitely involve going out to the wider family and going to places like Bungie, I suppose, and maybe starting to go back out externally and start recruiting some of that talent that's lost. You know, there's so many people that are being let go all the time. Can you imagine if you're working over in, say you're working in Activision, right, or you're working now for Microsoft, and you're working over in COD, you're in Raven or something like that, and you're having to do the same fucking shit every few years, like pumping it out, getting it done, and then you see a job posting come up on Indeed or whatever that says, oh, fucking Killzone. We're relaunching Killzone again. We need some multiplayer expertise over here. And you think, fuck me. I loved Killzone back in the day. I've been working on COD non-stop for years. As long as the paycheck's all right, you can get the staff in who have that expertise, right? And I think the hard thing is getting the right people there. And the only saving grace, right, is that the person who runs PlayStation at the moment, Herman Holst, he fucking created Killzone. So you're like, what makes this so special? And he'd be able to be like, boom, 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 boom. You need to hit this, 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 this. And you could bet your ass if he was going out and checking the game and it's going through all those different milestones, it'd be ultra critical. Because it's like his fucking baby, right? Like, to be able to see that franchise return, it's not going to get pushed through and there'd be the same mistakes that there's been in the past. It would be fucking done right. And it would have to be to a level that would be acceptable, because he's not going to let the franchise that he built be sullied on a comeback like this. So I don't think it's too worrying for them to be able to find the right talent for it, because you have the right checks in place to stop it going out the door without it being in the right level of quality. Well, that's what I'm thinking anyway. But maybe I'm putting too much care on Herman Holst here.
I do feel, though, whatever first-person shooter comes out next, it needs to be bloody good, because it's going to be tarnished with the same brush as Concord without any relation other than it being a first-person Sony game. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on it, regardless of who brings it out and what IP they use. So good luck to them. Now, do I want the next one to be Killzone? Probably not, because that IP, much like yourself, Davey and Spence, we hold it close to our hearts. Davey more so than the rest of us. Do I want it to be Resistance next? Again, definitely not, because I love that IP a lot more. So maybe give it a little bit of time before we think about bringing those much-loved IPs back. But I don't think you need to change a lot. I think we just need to bring it back with the modern sensibilities of the PS5, the graphics, the controls, and I think it'll bang.
All you need, mate, is just a trailer at like the Game Awards, right? Not that I'm going to put this in my safe possible crazy, because I'm not a fucking idiot. But all you have is just a trailer where it's just someone speaking, just a dictator, just like it is in Killzone 2, just the start of that. And then all it is just the camera zooms out away from them and you just see a shitload of Hellgas standing there. And just comes up Killzone 4. Done. It's not like as if you're worrying about woke shit or anything like that in fucking Killzone. You're just fighting space Nazis who also kind of aren't always that bad, right? Like, the good guys are a little bit questionable as well. And just to have a kick-ass campaign, tacked on multiplayer, which is class. Done. Thank you very much. Maybe co-op in there as well if you really want to go all out. That's all it needs to do. Like, it doesn't need to be going out and pandering to people because you don't fucking see anyone's face. Like, they're just fucking hellgassed. Like, done. And they could just be doing some absolutely outrageous shit. The Hellgas can. It can be really dark and gritty, which it always was as a franchise. Done. You're not going to get anyone being like, it's a bit woke, this. It's literally just fucking fighting space Nazis.
I like your analogy, Davey, of just pulling a Space Marine and just keeping games simple and giving us what we expect with these type of games. Don't try and weave a strange message into it about social commentary. No, we just want to blow shit up and enjoy it and maybe it look nice and control well. Is that a lot to ask?
I think that's exactly all it needs to do. That's all it needs to do. And as long as it follows what came before in terms of being graphically impressive and simple to play, hard to master, shooting mechanics, done. You know, Killzone 2, we were playing it long ago. Obviously, we were chatting about it earlier on the show. The class-based systems of that multiplayer make that so replayable. That's all it needs to do. It's like Battlefield. It's kind of like, it's the most comparable shooter to it, I suppose, is Battlefield. And it's just that, but it fucking works, rather than Battlefield being Battlefield and it taking 2 years and all the players to leave before it actually starts working again. Goddamn shame, Battlefield. Goddamn shame. But I suppose closing thoughts, Spence. Have you got anything else you wanna put in before we move on from No Fate's question?
The only thing is, again, just mentioning repeating the same FPS formula. It seems like that feels like a dig at Concord, like we've said. But Concord's a hero shooter. Killzone coming back, even if it was exactly the same as what it used to be, it'd be wildly different. It's like comparing Overwatch to Call of Duty. It's two completely different genres of game, even if they share kind of point of view and gameplay, but they kind of don't. It's a lot more fast-paced, normal FPS games are to hero shooters, and there's a lot less coordination necessary. You're your own man, whereas in a hero shooter, you have to work as a team. So I think it'd be fine. Bring it back. Bring Killzone back, but as it was.
There you go. And there's our thoughts on the matter. Bring it back as it was. And let's wait for it in my picks for what's coming out at the Game Awards. Game Awards could be amazing. The game that can't be mentioned 9 and Killzone returns. Oh, there you go. That's my safe my possible, I reckon. Could we get into my crazy now? Let's have a look. Lurian asks, apparently Big Daddy Hiroki Totoki, says, we plan to continue releasing major single-player titles every year from next fiscal year onwards. And then Lurian says, psst, notice he says titles, plural? What do each of you predict the lineup order for the next 4 years to be? And do you trust him? Now, I think that's nuts ask, right? We'll be here forever. But let's tone it down a little bit, because 4 years' time, we're talking new console, period, right?
Yeah.
So let's do just the remainder of, let's do the next couple of years. Let's do 2 years or so. And kind of major games that you think could be coming out, releasing major single-player games every year. So we're not talking about things like Marathon, things like that. We're talking first-party single-player games. What can you foresee coming? Now, obviously, we got... Now, I'll make it easy for you guys. Next year, obviously, we know we got Ghost and we've got Wolverine, presumably.
Yeah.
So that's next year kind of ticked off, if we're going for that. I wouldn't include Death Stranding 2 in this, because obviously it's not a first-party game, even though it is, kind of published by PlayStation to start with. So we're looking at the year after that to start with. What can you see coming there? Spence, have you got anything ticking your brain over here?
How the hell am I even supposed to know? The only things I can think of is like, what's Naughty Dog doing? So either their new IP they mentioned, but I think they said they were going to do something multiplayer. I don't know. But there were rumors about Uncharted coming back, a reboot. We might end up seeing that. Would I want to see Last of Us 3? I guess I would. But is that coming in the next 2 years? Probably not. Let's be honest. But fuck, what a dream. Mate, God knows. I want to see Last of Us. I want to see Uncharted. And I want Blue Point to make their own game. That's what I'd really like. But ultimately, it's Wolverine and the next Spider-Man maybe we'll get within a few years. They're probably going to churn out the next Spider-Man, I think. Because that sells mental numbers. So God knows. Or maybe a Ratchet, maybe an Astrobot. Fuck knows.
Okay. All right, so you're throwing out a couple of ideas here, but no real set dates, nothing like that. Totally ignoring Lurian's question, but just also throwing it back on him as well that it's a fucking tough ask this off the cuff. I mean, we could have prepped, couldn't we? But that's not in the spirit of the show. We do it right there and then. So, Mr. Hoy, where are you going with this one?
Well, it's a bit difficult because Spencer's just named all the first-party games, hasn't he? So if I'm going to pick one, I'm just going to repeat one he said. But what he didn't say, and I was trying to, go down my list in my head, tick off the ones he said. I thought Astrobot's a shoo-in, isn't it? They could do that every couple of years, and that's an obvious one. I can't imagine Astrobot costs that much to make and produce. They could rinse and repeat that and just sell a butt ton of copies. They did 1.5 million in 9 weeks, reported in the news. So I'm sure they could just repeat that 2 or 3 years down the line. But one series which seems to be on an all-time high, and they seem to be churning out everything Horizon at the moment. I want to see Horizon 3. I can't wait for the continuation of that story. I want them to learn from the mistakes of Horizon 2, and I want Horizon 2 just with better combat. Just continue the story. I want to see where that goes.
I think that's a really good choice. And when would you anticipate that? Are you thinking 2026 or beyond?
It's probably going to be beyond because we haven't even had an announcement.
Yeah.
So we're talking 2026 to 7, I would probably say, for Horizon 3. mainline because they need to, do enough of this nonsense Lego and VR and everything else they're trying to use Horizon's IP to push. Get that out of their systems. Once we've done the Horizon Golf, once we've done Horizon Kart, once we've done the Horizon at the Olympics versus Spider-Man, let's get all that out first. And then we can come back and understand why we were making that series, why we moved away from Killzone and we're making Horizon. Bring back the story of Horizon and let's make number 3 really, really sing. And as I said, learn from the mistakes of 2 and just make it better.
So I really like it. I really like the idea. And I think that for me, 2026 would be a perfect year for it to return. I think the last one came out. When did Forbidden West come out? 2022? Someone want to give me a Google on that? Was it 2022?
It was, February 2022.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see that. I can see that being 2026 release. 100%. 100% I can. They really did a massive graphical overhaul with Forbidden West, but in terms of the gameplay, I don't feel it really stretched too far. Whereas now what they need to do is focus on gameplay first, and they've got a few years then to be able to really build what they're going to do and what they're going to change and learn from, and then come back with something that, granted, it would look amazing, right? It would look great, but I don't think it's going to be the big ask that they had to go from the original Horizon to Forbidden West, which was like an absolute monumental shift in terms of graphical fidelity. I don't think you need to really stretch it too far forward to be able to just make it sing. It just needs to sing in the gameplay department. So I can fully see that. Spence, I think a couple of yours that you put out for like 2026 and beyond, Ratchet, I reckon that's next from Insomniac, 100%.
Yeah, gotta be.
It's got to be. I reckon that's a 2026 or potentially a late 2025 release. That I could see that being announced kind of mid-year, coming out towards the end of the year. Although it's not the biggest seller in the world, Ratchet, but it is like a stable performer. So I could probably see that being an early 2026 release. And I really feel in my bones, I'm going to fucking put it out here, right here and now, that the next game that's being remade from the absolute GOATs is going to be Bloodborne. I reckon there's a fucking massive reason why it's not. There's rumors doing the mill at the moment that Dark Souls 3 is getting a remake.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a fucking reason why Bloodborne is just fucking quiet. And it's something they own. And I fully believe that will come back as a full-blown remake. And I reckon that's going to come out 2026. Because that would give us enough time. They've been working... When did they release? When was the PlayStation 5 out? 4 years ago now, right? So 2020?
2019, November.
So there you go. So they've had all that time since releasing Demon Souls to keep running at stuff. I reckon they're fucking, they got to be far through. And Bloodborne,
2020 November, sorry.
There you go. So 4 years time from there, since then, they've got to be fucking close, man. They've got to be close. I reckon I'm going to go on the basis that it's 2026 release for Bloodborne remake. And those would be my 2 games for 2026. Although if I was to be put on the, if I was told that I had to make another one for 2026, because I think you could release both of those and it wouldn't move the needle too much, I think 2026 would be a good time for Astro to come back in that year. Another 2 years' time from there. I think that makes perfect sense to me. And then moving into 2027, I think that's unfortunately when we're going to have to wait for Last of Us 3. I think it would be right towards the end of the console generation. Talking 2027. Last of Us 3, the longest period of time the Naughty Dog have done absolutely fuck all, but they'll come back with a game that blows all of our tits off and everyone will forget that they've been away for such a long time, right? I reckon 2027 that we're seeing that. And also it's going to be the same year that we get the next installment of God of War, I think, to end the Norse trilogy. And they say it's not a trilogy. I reckon they got one more in them. And for Norse before they move on, and then it would be the PS6, which is then showing off the next iteration of God of War, or it could be what I want it to be, which is the remake of God of War in the kind of new way of playing God of War that we were talking about not long ago, and that could be a 2027 game as well. So those are my ideas. I know we got 2028 in there, but I think 2028 we're beckoning on PS6 then at that point, if not before. And so I kind of don't want to get into that point, because the big question mark is going to be if some of these studios don't get off the toilet, man, they don't shit and get off the pot. It's going to be worrying. Naughty Dog, especially. I fully anticipate we're going to have their game out by the time 2027's done, 100%. And if it's The Last of Us or if it's a new IP is the big question mark. But they've done 2 games at the same time before in The Last of Us and Uncharted 3. Who's to say Sony can't just chuck the money at them and say, look, guys, fucking... Let's get something out of you, all right? We can't just be having you remaking every fucking game you've ever done, you know? So I can see that. But are anything I've gone through a bit mental, or is it just building off what you guys have already said, really, I think?
Bloodborne's tapped, mate. Bloodborne's mad. I mean, you're like, oh, there's rumors at the minute. There's been rumors for 10 years. Bloodborne, I want it to happen as much as you do. I'm desperate. I would never in my life put a date on it, not until it's shown. Because God knows, mate, it could be 30 years at this point, I think. They just don't want to do it for some reason. They can't be arsed. God knows what the reason is. And Ratchet, we said Ratchet's probably next, but we know Wolverine's next. I think Ratchet could be 2027. It could be after. Like, God knows. And also, Astrobot as well, I will say, it took 4 years between the PS5 release, so Astro's Playroom, to an actual Astrobot game. And the Playroom was only a 4-hour, 100% 4-hour game. So I don't think it'll be 2 years.
You got to think, man, Team Asobi, at that point, from making Playroom, small team, you bet your fucking ass after the critical acclaim that Astrobot's had now, that money is going to be like a fucking blank check. How much do you need? How many staff members do you need? They scale you up, right? Like Naughty Dog didn't go from, like 10 people making Crash to then like 1,000 odd making Last of Us 2. It was like that constant quality. And Astrobot fucking slaps tits, man. Like absolutely slaps tits. They have to just scale up a bit.
The only way I'd agree for a 2026 Astro release is if it's a smaller VR title. I don't think we'll get a full main physical game again, a full 70 quid game.
This console generation or next?
This console generation.
Right.
I don't feel there's a need to release another Astrobot on this generation because Astrobot is about the hardware. And there's not been any new hardware. Unless they chuck in the PSVR 2 adapter to get it to work on PC. I don't know. And the Pro, I guess. Sure, the Pro. But that's one bit of tech. Unless they include the disk drive and the stand as well. Not only do I not see it happening, I don't know why it would. Other than, to make money off it. But there's no actual reason.
I don't know, man. Like, I love the nostalgia that's in Astrobot. But for me, the hardware isn't the hardware pieces that they have. And sure, that ending was amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. More bots, man. There's a lot more characters out there. There's a lot more bots you can make. And just more of those theme-ass levels. They can literally just do a game which just like, here's another 20-odd levels. Here we go. It's 20 quid. Cheers. Cheers, Sophie. Yeah, we'll fucking take this. Be happy as fuck with that. Like, I'd be over the moon with that. And, Christ, there's nothing stopping them coming out, and they've already added a load of different timed levels into it. But I think having the nostalgia angle isn't enough to say that Astrobot can't return for so many years, because we've already had the PS3 and the PS2 kind of featured quite heavily. There's so many other franchises you can make those levels for, and all they have to do is come up with the gimmicks. And if Mario can do it, and Mario can come back every couple of years in a new 3D adventure, I don't see why it's out the realm of possibility that Astro can or can't.
Continuing now how Mario does it, why wouldn't we see Astrobot flip it up and change it in the way the game isn't just a single player game. It could be a multiplayer game, for example. Mario seems to do it with Mario and Luigi. You could go down that track. And of course, we could see Astro doing a multitude of different gameplay styles, couldn't we? Now, it doesn't have to be a mainline Astrobot game, does it? But Astrobot featuring as the main character, yeah, I could definitely see that sometime in this console generation. And then save the next release, yes, for the PS6.
That I completely agree with. I'd happily have an Astro spin-off, whether it be VR2 or like a sports game or like you hinted at with Horizon Olympics with Spider-Man. She'd get smoked, by the way, in everything except archery. Smoked. But an Astrobot game and it features all the other little bots, yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be great. I just can't, like you said, Phil, I can't see a mainline until next gen.
Fair enough. And I suppose the only other things that are raised there is there's a couple of heavy hitters in terms of franchises that potentially could return. Do you guys see there's any possibility of either, say, let's go for like the two biggest IP, like a Gran Turismo or a God of War returning before the end of the PS5?
I was going to say Gran Turismo, but then whilst you were speaking, I actually looked up the release dates between 6 and 7. It was 9 years. I thought Gran Turismo 7 came out like end of PS4 and we had a PS5 version. I was wrong. It's 2022 GT7 came out. So it's only been 2 years since the last Gran Turismo. There's no chance we see a new Gran Turismo, not for another 7 years, I don't think. That's 100% a mid-next gen game. Gran Turismo, at least.
They need to make more cars, don't they? For them to go in and start taking pictures of. They got no reason at the minute. They're adding too many DLCs in. Yeah, they've done all the cars. Now they're adding DLC every single fucking quarter or whatever. And it's just an excuse, I think, for the team to go out there and start wanking off over like a fucking 65 Chevy. And they're loving it, right? They're living the fucking dream, going out there, going through these classic cars. Sorry, yeah, I am going to have to rag this round on the Nuremberg just so we can make sure it's accurate. They're like, go on then, Polyphony. Go on, fill your boots, mate. The guy's fucking jacking off in the exhaust, man. Loving it, right? They got to make more cars for those guys to be able to go and actually do something with it. But yeah, I can't see GT returning. But God of War boys, they used to chuck them out. I reckon we could quite. I reckon.
They used to chuck them out when they were 8-hour long games. That didn't really, there's no graphical enhancements from 1 to 3 or at least 2 to 3 because they're all on the same gen. Whereas now, even if games are on the same gen, if it's a sequel, they tend to try and enhance them because graphics are improving constantly now. And the games are now 40 to 60 hours rather than 8. Nah. Nah, mate.
You can't see reality where we get an Atreus game?
Not a full-fledged 40-hour Ragnarok-esque one, though. Similar to the Astrobot thing I'm on about. Maybe a spin-off, shorter 20-hour title, like a Miles Morales. Like one of those for Atreus. Definitely not a mainline.
I think it's more likely that we wait until PS6 for the next major installment of God of War. But sure, as you guys are saying, a spin-off, possibly. But there's lots of rumours at the moment of the remakes of the originals. So I expect they're just going to do those first before they continue the mainline story. But one game we have talked a lot about in rumours and news of the past, and it's not an IP you guys have listed off in your openers, is Days Gone. It's a Sony IP, Ben Studios. You know, what's happening with the sequel to that? Now, he appeared in Astrobot, didn't he? Old Deacon. They referenced him, so they're still pushing the IP as such. So why wouldn't we, in the next 3 to 4 years, or whatever Lurian's question was, I think it was 4 years, could we not see the next Days Gone? I've just got it up on Wikipedia, and that came out in 2019. It's about time that we see the next thing from Bend, be it Days Gone or be it their next IP.
Well, there was a lot of talk a long time ago now for our podcast that originally it was pitched that they were going to have a Days Gone 2, and it was kind of shut right down. And they were like, no, not going to happen. But
it was the co-op world, wasn't it? That's what was pitched, and they just shut that down.
Yeah, and it was also they've had change of management and everything now. So maybe there is chance now that there wasn't before. There is possibility. I don't know. I think for me, I don't think it would get me too excited. I mean, the game was good, but it's not. People make it out like it's fucking incredible, and it was. it was overly long. And you guys, I don't think you guys have played it, but the main kind of selling point of it with that horde zombie encounter stuff isn't till endgame. It's like real late that you're doing that kind of stuff. It's really late into the experience. It's nuts, actually. And you got like multiple times you think, oh, we're done. And then next thing you know, oh, I'm walking through a flower field again with my girlfriend, talking about the past, and then, oh, I'm in a new area and I got to do everything I've just done again for 30 hours, but now I got a machine gun. Okay. And then the end game's actually fucking class, to be fair. So I would like it to return. I would definitely not ever predict it, man. I think that's one that probably will go the way of the dodo, and I'd probably more likely see a return of something like fucking Papa the Rapper before I see Days Gone come back. I really can't see that. I can't see this one being revived.
I can't believe you don't want to get freaky with the freakers one more time, Davey.
Freakers, bro. It is good, man. I got the platinum, but yeah, I think is if you're going back to the well, man, there's better things like fucking bring back an Infamous or bring back fucking Colony Wars, Papa the Rapper, any of these fucking classics, dude. Bring these back rather than Deacon St. John. But I know, rip, chuck out the rip signs. But Lurian, I hope we've kind of given some predictability here for what we've got, and I'm gonna go out on a fucking long-term bet here, boys. Right, I'm gonna put 5 shots on this. If anyone wants to take me up on it, I reckon the next game from Blue Point, Bloodborne remake. I'll put 5 on it. Anyone want to take it? It's a hanging fruit that will probably be in that, you know, bets and shot stock for the fucking length of time. Does anybody want to take me up on this thing? And they won't be split. It's just whoever takes it on, 5 shots either to me or to that person that takes the bet.
It's not split, but surely if we both accept, then if it's not, me and Phil both do 5, but you do 10 if it.
Oh,
Bloodborne.
We're not trying to kill each other, mate.
Yeah,
surely that's the way that goes, though.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's like a double or nothing.
Oh, that's such a long bet because it's not going to be soon.
No.
If it is, yeah, I'd take it. I'd take that bet. I think they might as well. I think it might be their next one, but God knows when, because they're not going to do their own game, are they?
No. Why would you? Why would you want them to? Blue Point are fucking goated
so
at remakes, man. Like, why would you want to?
I would have more faith. I would sooner predict that they're going to do Shadow of the Colossus again before they do Bloodborne. So I'd safely take your 5 bet. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. You getting in on this as well, Phil, for the long-term bet?
I mean, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yes!
Really, to lose, probably won't even remember by the time we get round to all those shots. Why we even made the bet. It all gets a bit blurry after a while.
Can you imagine if Game Awards, right, you get Killzone getting announced on there? I'll be a fucking... Change my name, right? If Killzone gets announced and Bloodborne remake, just call me the fucking prophet from here on out, boys. That will be my actual title on this show, The Prophet, Davey. Because I would have spoken. And let's put it in. I'll put it in there and we'll see how it goes. But Lurian, I hope that answers your question. Audience, if you want to take part in the show, if you want to ask any questions, the best way to do it is to hit us up on Twitter, on X, at In PS We Trust. That's the best place to get hold of us. Although, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we do have a Discord, which I am in more often now that we're doing these PS3 games. So if you want to take advantage of that, hit up the PS Rewired service with your boys from the podcast, join the Discord, get in there, come to the community nights, and we will fucking wreck some Hellgast scum together, which would be lovely. Now, if you've enjoyed the show, there's a number of ways you could support us. The first is to go on to your podcast service of choice and put a rating. We are still holding on to that 5-star metric, that 5-star baby. Love it. But we would like more ratings on there. So if you don't mind, take a moment of your time, put a rating on there. It really does help the show. And finally, the last thing from us is that, well, audience, we are building up to the big quiz. It's going to be a fucking nightmare on the next episode. I would suggest if you want to film anything for yourself, a little message for us, a little greeting, anything to say you enjoyed the show, send them over to either the email, pswetrust@gmail.com, or just DM me on Twitter, and we can sort out how you could transfer that file over, and I can put together a little supercut. I'm going to try and go through the 100-odd episodes of the podcast and pick out some juicy little bits just to really show these guys and have like a little walk down memory lane. But if you want to take part and put any of your listener thoughts in, then please, I'd encourage you to reach out to me and let's make this happen. It's going to be a really nice celebration episode next one, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you all. But that brings episode 102 of In PS We Trust, the PlayStation podcast, to a resounding close. I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.